Southside shows for a couple dollars, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Carlos, just fucking say the pick.
With the 11th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, my Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Let's go! Let's go! All right! I'm okay with it! I just spilled my beer. Fuck! Let's go, Bears! Justin Fields! I'm okay with it! I'm okay with it! This is the Brew Party Podcast, episode number 59, the draft reaction show. It's ladies' night, and we're feeling all right. I'm joined by two of my very, very good podcasting friends from YouTube. You know her, the SportyJordy. She's also now part of the Onside Chicks podcast, and my good friend from the Girl Who Talks Sports podcast, Sam Cardona. Ladies, how are you doing? Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm feeling great tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be a ton of fun. I'm excited for this triple dynamic going on here. It's going to be very fun.
So I've been teasing this for a long time. I've wanted to get you guys on together, and we finally have it. I thought perfect time would be now. It's after that chaos of draft weekend. Let's talk about it. Let's get our reactions to this very long weekend, very tiring. Sam, I know you and I were live on Thursday night for 4.5 hours. We followed up. I think you did 2 draft shows on the second day. I only did 1. So, but still very, very long, very tiring weekend, but rewarding for our respective teams. So before we get into that, I want to talk about you guys a little bit. Jordy, I want to start with you because the last time you were here, you had not been a part of this project yet, but I want to pick your brain, tell everybody about it. So Onside Chicks, it's a new podcast that you're a part of about football, sports, whatever. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so that's been a pretty cool experience. It's called Onside Chicks. We stream live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We stream on YouTube and Twitch. You can also find the podcast on all podcasting platforms, but it's co-hosted by me and my girl Kaylee, and we talk all things happening in the NFL right now. We're going to start doing a couple breakdowns, so we're going to take organizations and break them down, see what they have to do to rebuild, how to get in the right place for going into this season. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up, and then I still have my YouTube channel, SportyJordy, posting weekly videos. For Onside Chicks, you can find us on Twitter at Onside Chicks Pod and Instagram at Onside Chicks. And then for all my fun stuff, you can find me on Instagram at _SportyJordy and at Twitter at the SportyJordy.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So Sam, I mean, we all know about the Girl Who Talks Sports podcast. I was trying to wear my shirt, but I think it's in the laundry. So I missed out on that. But you actually have a schedule change up this week I want you to talk about, and a special guest coming Friday. I don't know if you want to, you don't need to break that on the Brew Party, but just tell us about it.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this week. So actually, I'm glad Jordyn is here because Wednesday, I usually put out like my normal episode, but I'm actually going to be putting out my extra content video this week, which includes Miss Jordyn here, and she came to visit me this weekend. We actually saw each other for the first time in 7 months. So it was a really, really nice reunion. So we made a video that's going to be out Wednesday. My actual episode recapping the draft will be out Friday with a special guest. I am going to keep it a secret for a little bit. But I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm just super stoked for this week. It's, last week I said, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just get through this week and then I'll be good by next week. And I'm like, oh no, that is not the case. I am as busy this week as I was last week. So, but yeah, otherwise, just still really excited to talk about the NFL draft this week and just delve into it,
It's like an event. I don't want to say almost like any other, but just like the
No, but it
press,
is.
the buzz around it for just, it's not an actual game. It's literally just a bunch of people their names being called, and the amount of people that freak out. You saw the crowds who I'm sure were super hyped to be there. But actually, let's talk about that real quickly. Did you guys have any, because they did a lot of like panning crowd shots, and I know they had a bunch of people, like one fan from each team got to sit in Rodgers' chair that they brought.
Yeah.
I think my favorite are the people that are insane enough to dress up full face paint, full costume, like down to like their team's like receiver gloves at the draft. That's how you fucking love your football team.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any of those moments where you're like, I like mood, like I feel that?
There is one Eagles fan who I believe goes to every single Eagles game, home and away. Like, you will always see him on TV. I've seen him at a couple tailgates, and he has a full-on mohawk. He paints his face down the middle, half green, half silver. Like, this man goes full out, and like, you just recognize him. And like, I expect to see him at all the Eagles stuff, but like, I didn't expect to see him in Cleveland. And of course, right as the Eagles are about to draft, they cut the cameras and they go to him. And I was like, of course he is there. This is like, he doesn't miss. Like, he does not miss a single event. And I absolutely love it. I love dedication.
That's Die Hard. That is Die Hard. I can't, the only one that I can think of right off the bat was right in the beginning, where I think that they decided they were going to bring fans up and sit them in Rodgers' Lazy Boy. And they brought up a Jaguars fan, and she was just looking at everybody when she was like, am I going up on the stage? Like, she was like freaking out and like trying to process her emotions. Like, you could tell she was like all in on the Jaguars and the fact that they were going to get Trevor Lawrence as their first pick. So that was probably really exciting. The thing that they sat in the chair, though, was absolutely hysterical. I was like, how did they just literally bring Rodgers' chair to the draft? It's just bonkers. What is up, Hank?
Hey.
So we got our first comment here, Hank. How have we all recovered from the draft yet? I mean, obviously, if I'm back on the horse here, Hank, but yeah, I'm still riding that high. I think really, I'm going to get into it. We each have a little segment planned for our respective teams, but really like what the Bears did. I think they knocked it out of the park with their first 2 picks. I wish they had more picks in like the first, second, third round, because they did have to give some of those up. I'll ask Sam what you thinks about that with some of the picks they gave up to the Giants. Then I believe to the Panthers as well, to trade up to get Jenkins. So yeah, there's lots of like, I'm recovered, excited to talk about, excited to recap and get our thoughts after the full weekend. And then Tom checking in as well. I have a feeling the Bears might trade up. I think he means had, but he definitely called it on our NFL draft show. This is just uncalled for already. Lucas Wilson for the 3rd place Bears. You're just the Packers fan here. For anybody who doesn't know, he's salty about the Aaron Rodgers news and the dumpster fire that is the Green Bay Packers organization currently. So thank you so much for those comments, guys. If you are in watching, go ahead and comment, ask us some questions, give us your thoughts, what you liked, disliked from the draft. Make sure you share, retweet the stream, share us with a friend. So let's get into it. Let's talk about our reactions, guys. Sam, you go first. Let's talk about the picks. What was your favorite pick from it? I guess I could say the whole draft, but I'm more talking about the first round. Like, what team did you really think knocked it out of the park during that first round?
Well, I gotta say, I mean, I'm sure you'll really enjoy this, Andy. I mean, the Bears really did such a good job.
They really did.
I without, spoiling too much about all of our grades, the Bears were the only team I gave an A+ to. So the fact that they were able to finesse this, and the Giants were in on it as well, I mean, that was golden. The fact that it was 1 Bears fan, 3 Giants fans live on this draft show when that happened, it was crazy. But
absolutely, no,
I definitely think Fields going at 11 was not something anyone was expecting, but it was probably the best thing that the Bears could have done. It really just you wouldn't have gotten Fields sitting back at 20. So I definitely got to say that's a big one. And I also just want to honorably mention the fact that the Patriots did not have to trade up for Mac Jones absolutely blows my mind. I was convinced that they were going to be up in the top 10 and either taking Fields or Mac Jones. So the fact that Bill Belichick knew enough that he could sit at 15 and still get Mac Jones, I can't hate on the guy. It's just like it hurts me how good he is at his job. So those two probably are from the first round were like the most shocking and like well done things through the first round.
Jordyn, what about you?
All right, I have to be a little biased here. The way my Eagles, and we'll get more into it later, this was a very big deal to me because I fully went into it panicking. I was a nervous wreck. So the way we handled, and honestly, going into it, like the first couple, it was worst case scenario for us when this draft started because Atlanta Falcons didn't take a quarterback and they didn't trade back. So they took Pitts. Bengals went rogue, not rogue, but like kind of went off script what I thought they were going to do, taking Chase. So then all the receivers, like the cornerbacks, everyone was going so much earlier than I thought they were actually going to go. So I'm sitting there panicking. And I was like, the Eagles are going to panic because all of the guys that they wanted are going to be gone. I was panicking that they were going to take Justin Fields because I also on Eagles Twitter the night prior to the draft, there was a lot of talk that Howie wanted to trade up and take Justin Fields. And so I'm sitting there panicking, like what is about to happen? But they handled it beautifully. We got Devontae Smith, which is the number one guy that I've wanted for weeks. Like this is the person. It was my top choice. It was best case other than Pitts, but like the chances of Pitts falling were ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So it was best case scenario. And I woke up the next morning happy with my Eagles, happy with Howie Roseman, and happy with the Cowboys. Like that never happens ever. Like a parallel universe feeling. But I enjoyed it. So
I mean, the similar feeling for me with the Bears, like, wow, we didn't fuck it up. But it's interesting to say, I thought it's funny everybody's talking about A+. Like, yeah, because they're like, their backs are against the wall and they feel like they have to. And then they don't give a shit about these picks next year. That's why he's trading them away. So, I mean, let's go. I want them to knock it out of the park. For me, I mean, yes, I'll talk about Justin Fields at 11. I thought that was a great pick. I mean, PFF, Pro Football Focus, is the website I use mostly for football-related stuff, and they had him as their number 3 rated prospect on their big board. Like what he brings versatility-wise in the passing game and what he can do with his feet is going to be awesome. Bears haven't had a franchise quarterback in God knows how long. But as far as the first round goes, I actually liked what the Bengals did, taking Jamar Chase, getting Joey Burrow another weapon. I know Sam and I have talked about this a little bit, but they were kind of filled at the tackle spot with Jonah Williams and Riley Reif. So they didn't really have, I mean, Sewell, maybe he's better than both of those guys, but their needs are really filled there. They needed another guy on the outside after losing A.J. Green. I liked what the Bengals did. The Arizona Cardinals, taking Zaven Collins, the number 1 PFF rated linebacker in the class. He's like 6'4", 225, 230, out of Tulsa. I think they got a steal with him. And did you guys see his draft call?
Yeah, and we are big. Both of us are big Zaven Collins fans.
Yeah,
so
I really like him.
Very exciting for us.
Well, yeah, you know I'm going to like him when the first words out of his mouth to the owner is like, we're going to kill people. And I mean, speaking of killing people, we're all alive after Sunday, after Kyle Shanahan.
We made it to Monday.
Yeah, we made it. Are there any picks that you guys didn't like, kind of that made you scratch your head and go, what the fuck?
The Raiders not going defense really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think about that one. But
I think that on the Raiders.
Yeah.
The Packers pick, I think, was mostly a statement pick, them not going receiver. So I think that one was probably the most that we were like, huh? And the Saints pick also was like someone like out of the blue and everybody was like, huh, what's going on here? But I think the Packers have more of a strong feeling towards because of the fact that all the Aaron Rodgers drama that was going on. Everyone expected them to take a receiver in their first pick in the first round, and they decided to go defense, and everyone was like, really? Like, you're just doing that to make Aaron Rodgers upset, and that was kind of...
Especially because Elijah Moore, he was still available.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and Terrace Marshall Jr. was, too.
Yes, and these are guys that, like, in any other draft year, I think if there were so many, like, we were very quarterback heavy. We were very cornerback heavy. So I think in any other year, there are receivers that easily could have been first round guys. There just wasn't as much of a need for it. And there were also a lot of other good receivers ahead of them, but they are very talented guys. So the fact that the Packers had the option of taking them and chose not to.
Yeah. And then, the Packers end up getting another A. Rodgers later in the draft, and Amari Rodgers out of Clemson. But it's just a real head scratcher. The second year in a row that the Packers have kind of, in my opinion, dropped the ball in the first round. I mean, I know I'm a Bears fan, so anytime I can criticize the Packers, which isn't going to be a lot, I'm going to jump right on that opportunity. Another team that I didn't really understand where they were going. God, I had it in my head and I lost it. Like, let me go this way. It was like the last 3 picks, now that you mention it, Sam, where we're just like, who the fuck is that? Like, we didn't see any of them coming. You're talking about the guy from Houston. I think Turner was his last name, where I think like literally all of us we had on the stream at one point were like, I have never heard of this guy. At all. So there were a lot of those head-scratching moments. I actually didn't hate what the Raiders did. I know it was a little confusing, but I mean, if it's Mike Mayock and John Gruden, they're always going to have a guy that in their eyes is a lot better, that they're going to have probably rated a little higher than most. And I mean, we talked to Tom Scavetta about it a lot. Alex Leatherwood was one of his favorite linemen in the draft. So I don't think he's necessarily going to be a bad player. Just maybe it wasn't really what everybody fit. And then, the whole Trey Lance, Mac Jones smoke screen for the 49ers. I think they played that really well. Another one of Tom Scavetta's guys, Chris Sims, on his weekly radio show with Mike Florio from PFF, from Pro Football Talk, PFT, I mean, said he didn't even know what Shanahan was doing. And he had a fucking tattoo of Shanahan's initials on him and was one of his best friends, for 20 plus years. So credit to the 49ers and them for keeping all that in-house. So let's talk about stuff they caught on camera. They always love to cut to the draft parties or the draft rooms. Was there anything that you guys thought was really funny that they caught on camera this year? I know Jalen Waddle got a little guff for kind of just completely just turning away from his family.
Well, to be fair, I saw the footage of what happened when he was on the phone, and that was before the camera panned him, where he does hug all of his family members. And they didn't show that. And then it shows him just walking away when he does get the final pick or the final say hey, you can go up to the podium now. So I gotta give that guy credit, because he did give his family the love. But that's probably that is the most memeable thing from this draft, at least from the first round. It was just I'm up and out of here, man. Screw this.
I think my favorite one for me was, honestly, I hate to keep coming back to him, I bet you love it, Justin Fields. Bears straight up, and all of a sudden they cut to Justin Fields' house and it's the empty couch. There's no one there. And it's as if we didn't already know in that moment. It was we all know who they're taking right now, because he's clearly on the phone, clearly hugging his family members. And that was comical to me. That the directors, everyone chose. They were like, you know what? Empty room. Let's show the empty room.
Makes sense. Here's a comment that I think is a good question. Thoughts on the Jags taking ETN?
This was literally the year for drafting for friendship. That's what it was. Because this was not, there was 5 different duos. And I think that's why they did it. I think there's a lot of other directions they could have gone. I don't hate it. I don't know if it was necessarily the smartest move that they could have made, but at the end of the day, if he already has this connection with Trevor Lawrence, stuff like that carries into the NFL. So who knows? Maybe it'll work out great for them. They already have James Robinson, who I love, I think is great, but I do think they can use depth there. So it's not the worst pick. I don't not like it, but I definitely was laughing. And I was like, they're just catching on to what everybody else was doing.
That's so funny. I'm just thinking of an entire NFL draft, all 7 rounds based off of friendship. Just straight up. No skill, no nothing, just who do you know
Friendship.
here?
You know who would do that is the Raiders. The fucking John Gruden and Mike Mayock would just take every player they could from Alabama or Clemson.
Yeah,
every player they saw play in the college football playoff is who the Raiders would take.
Yeah.
Here's a comment from Tom Scavetta. He brings up a good point. Is they took him because the Giants took their guy at number 20. The Jags and Urban Meyer were very, very high on Kadarius Toney. This would have been a guy that I think Urban Meyer would have known what to do with pretty well. A very speedy guy. He could have moved around in a lot of different ways and schemed him up. So as far as my thoughts on the ETN, I like it as far as the the rapport that him and Trevor have. And I think what
Mhm.
ETN has been able to do as a pass catcher out of the backfield in college is really impressive. And I mean, we're talking about a guy that ran for 1,600 plus yards in back-to-back seasons, guys. Scored I believe 78 or 80 touchdowns in his time in his 4 years at Clemson, broke ACC records. He's terrific. And I think put him in the right situation. You got to get some guys on Jacksonville's offensive line to protect him and Trevor Lawrence. But I think I don't hate it putting one of the most successful duos in college football history back together. But as an Illinois State guy, I'm feeling for James Robinson right now. I definitely am feeling for James Robinson right now. So let's move on. I got a couple more things I want to talk about. Actually, let's go this way. One thing you mentioned earlier, Jordy, was the Eagles taking Devonta Smith. And Sam, I have to get your take on this because they pretty much stole him from the Giants. They traded up, and that whole stretch, on the live stream, was absolute chaos because the whole time Tom, you, and Hank are all going, we're getting Devonta Smith. You are starting to creep in, as the picks are going, you're starting to freak out. And then it's, holy shit, there's a trade. The Eagles are in Devonta Smith. You're on FaceTime with Jordy. You guys need to just take me
I'm
through.
screaming bloody murder.
Take me through this. What's going on when Devonta Smith gets taken at number 10 by the Eagles?
Yeah, I definitely think that I wish my ignorance was bliss. I really thought that I wasn't thinking that far ahead and that I was like, okay, we can get whoever here, whatever. But the fact that I was like, it's going to be Devonta Smith. That's what it is. Chase, Waddle, they're off the board. They're gone. It's going to be Devonta Smith. The Giants are getting an Alabama wide receiver. And I was like, yes, it's here. And me and Tom and Hank were already celebrating at this point. We were like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then it didn't, because then we see the trade and I'm like, oh my God, that's the Eagles. And then I think Tom knew right away. He was like, oh my God, they're getting Smith. And I was like, then what are we going to get? I was like, no, wait. And then when it did happen, then I was talking to Jordyn about it, and she was freaking out, which, made a lot of sense because I probably would have been the same way. I think what hurt me the most was the fact that the Eagles and the Cowboys coincided with one another to screw us over. The fact
that's the craziest part.
Yeah.
The trade was with the Dallas Cowboys of all teams. And I was like, the Cowboys hate us that much that they would give a pick to the Philadelphia Eagles to get an Alabama wide receiver. And that's what hurt me the most. But I was super excited. The fact that Jordyn was really excited about it. And I was like, okay, well then we figured out the trade with the Bears. And I was like, okay, we trade down to 20. I thought we were going to take an edge. I didn't think a receiver was going to be this round, but the more that I've come to terms with Kadarius Toney is a lot more over these past few days. So yeah, Hank, I completely agree with you. We almost died basically. Yeah, it was a moment, and I think that if we jump back to the stream, I was testing my heart rate out on my Apple Watch, and it was at least 150 beats per minute, which is what I'm at when I'm on a steady, starting out on the elliptical, getting my heart rate up. So it was pretty scary.
Yeah, that whole night was an actual roller coaster of emotions, and I remember FaceTiming Sam, and in my mind, alcohol played a part in my reaction. In my mind, I'm sitting there and I felt so bad after I hung up, and I was like, I just screamed and I was so excited. And I was like, and I stole her pick. I was like that. And I texted her and I was like, I love you. I'm so sorry, because I did. I felt horrible because literally the Cowboys and the Eagles, and it worked out for everybody but the Giants. The Giants got screwed because the Cowboys were going to take Micah Parsons at 10 no matter what. So trading back and getting an extra third round, they lucked out. And then we got our guy. And then it was such an unfortunate situation. But I was just happy that the Eagles didn't take a quarterback. That was all.
Yes.
Oh my God, then I would have exploded.
Yeah, that would have been interesting for sure.
It was definitely crazy. Anytime you talk about division rivals, let alone the Eagles and the Cowboys, two fan bases that really, really dislike each other, almost conspiring against the Giants, which a lot of people are saying. I know you Giants fans were pretty salty about that. But I mean, it's all hearsay at this point. You know, you guys, as far as the Giants go, I feel like you made really, really good picks in the later rounds. You talk about getting a guy like Ojulari at 50, who was ranked on our big board at like 16 or something like that. And then the Robinson pick that Hank mentioned earlier in the comments was great as well. So still a lot to like. And I mean, you guys have 7 draft picks in the first 4 rounds next year, Sam? Like DG or Davey Gettleman or Trader Dave, as he's now being called, Dave Gettleman. The first year he's ever traded in the draft as a GM, he decides to just go wild, which was great. One comment what Tom said about Surtain. Did you guys like that pick for the Broncos? Justin Fields was a name that was linked to them that some Broncos fans are upset that they didn't go with. What did you guys think there? But at the same time, quickly, I'll say, they just traded for Teddy Bridgewater. Drew Lock's still on the roster. Did they need a quarterback in your guys' eyes?
I feel like I was convinced that they were still going to get a quarterback. I was really convinced that it was even with Teddy, but Teddy obviously has injury history. He's becoming a veteran at this point. Drew Lock has really showed me nothing. I am kind of convinced that they're just going to get rid of him, or I thought they would have.
Are you not a young Jeezy fan? Is that why?
What was that?
Are you not a young Jeezy fan? Is that why?
That's my favorite thing that Drew Lock has ever done. The rap on the sideline.
I mean, yeah, because there's not much else to look for in the field, but yeah.
Right. I was surprised they took Surtain, because I was convinced that before the Broncos took Surtain, I was convinced the Cowboys were going to take him. And that obviously didn't happen, which is what Tom was mentioning, that it prompted that whole trade to begin with, because they knew they weren't going to get him. So I was more shocked, but also like, it's not an awful thing for them. Surtain is fantastic. So I'm not super surprised, but I was expecting a quarterback there.
Yeah, I definitely was too, especially when there were so before the Teddy Bridgewater trade, I 100% had the Broncos trading up to get a quarterback. When the trade happened, I was like, I don't think that they're going to trade up, because I feel like they feel much more comfortable. But I literally said it on Onside Chicks. Me and Kelly talked about it extensively. We said, if one of these guys fall down, you have to take one of them. And 2 of them were there, Justin Fields and Mac Jones. Justin Fields is obviously the better pick in my opinion, but they skipped over both of them. And that's when I was like, what the heck? That was the night before the draft started, all the Aaron Rodgers drama kind of started spilling out. There was a lot of talk connecting him to Denver. I don't know how accurate any of those reports actually are. A lot of it has been completely dismissed. But in the moment, they take Surtain. I'm sitting there thinking Aaron Rodgers is on his way to Denver right now. And like, they knew something that we didn't know yet. And that's why they felt so comfortable not going quarterback. Now it doesn't seem like that was ever the case. So I don't really know what they were thinking. Surtain is a great pick. But when you have these 2 young quarterbacks that could potentially be franchise guys, especially with the state of uncertainty that they're in, and they have a good roster otherwise, I think it was a miss on their part. So yeah, it definitely surprised me.
Okay. All right. That's both interesting points there. And yeah, I'm going to bring this comment actually back up from Tom Scavetta here. Fuller and Callahan both on contract years. Really hurts me that they got Kyle Fuller from the Bears, but I don't blame him for being upset with the situation. One of the holes I think the Bears still need to fill is cornerback. He's going to be missed. And then Bryce Callahan is also a former Bear that went over to the Broncos because Vic Fangio is, in my opinion, the best defensive coach in the NFL. No way they take a QB. I think Locke is their guy. I mean, Locke is still very young. I'm not saying he can't develop into something, but so far he has not shown me anything that to prove that he's going to be okay. I would prefer, if I'm a Broncos fan, Teddy Bridgewater, my starter day one, and put him around all those young weapons that they have. But as far as Surtain goes, best cornerback in this draft, in my opinion, incredible athlete. He's long, he's athletic. I think this is just a Fangio pick right here. This is Vic Fangio being like, I have to have this guy, and let him learn from Fuller and Callahan. And I think he could be one of the best cornerbacks in this league. So I don't hate them not taking quarterback here, but I understand Broncos fans being like, how do we not take Fields there? Like, and that is a very, very good argument. So we go from the Eagles trade up to 10, and then We have the Bears trade up to 11, prompt me losing my shit on the stream. I remember saying, like, I'm not supposed to be losing my mind yet. Like, freak, like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I like talking to Tom, Sam, and Hank, like, you guys are supposed to be freaking out, like, before me. Like, I had 9 picks to go before I'm supposed to be, like, losing my shit. And then, so I thought if the Bears traded up, it means we're taking quarterback. That's obviously what that means. And then, so they do it. And is it Mac Jones? Is it Justin Fields? Is it Justin Fields? I don't want to throw any shade on Mac Jones. He's a national champion. He did great things at Alabama this last year. I don't think he translates to this offense in Chicago. I just don't think I don't think the Bears staff would have set him up to be successful. I think it would have been another Mitchell Trubisky type thing, even though they aren't really comparable players, in my opinion. So enter Justin Fields, franchise quarterback. Like I said earlier, PFF's number 3 rated overall prospect, not quarterback, prospect on their big board. 92 overall PFF grade as a senior, 70% completion percentage in his career, I believe, at Ohio State. Very, very accurate quarterback. Did have a couple games last year where he struggled. Northwestern and Indiana didn't look great. Other than that, he was pretty much untouchable. This is a guy that Chicago gets that they have not had in years. Like, when was the last time the Bears had a franchise quarterback? Do you say Jay Cutler? Does that count? Is it Jim McMahon? Like who? Rex Grossman? That doesn't count. No, this guy. And now it's the argument. Does he start day one? I have no idea what they're doing in that quarterback room. I wouldn't hate him sitting behind Andy Dalton, kind of learning the offense for a year, but also why not just throw him out there and see what you got? Look, I knew Hank would throw this out. No love for Sid Luckman. Yeah, okay, we're gonna go back that far. And then Ryan Maloney, my guy, Jay absolutely counts. Yes, I'm counting Jay Cutler. Let's look at this comment here from Tom Scavetta. He's in a similar situation as Jones. The OC keeps changing. It will be his second year with Shermer. This is talking about Drew Lock. And then this back to Justin Fields. Ryan gives it until week 2 before he sees Justin Fields. Yeah. What do you guys think about that? Do you think he should be the starter in Chicago?
I think me and Ryan Maloney are on the same page here, because that was my prediction here is that Andy Dalton's going to start. He's either going to get hurt really bad, or he's just going to suck. And they're going to be like, what are we doing? And they're going to put Justin Fields in. It's going to be like that kind of thing. But I have a question for you, Andy, really quick. How would you have reacted if it was Mac Jones instead of Justin Fields at 11?
I would have had to talk myself into it. Like most things with the Bears at first, I probably would have been like, fuck. And I don't want to make this like anti-Mac Jones at all, because I think he has a chance to be a good pro, but I just don't think he would fit like what the Bears want to do. And I don't think he would be as successful, and I don't think he's as talented, to be honest with you, as Justin Fields. So I think I would have been pretty upset. The next morning, I would have had some spin zone for you guys in our best sports pods ever group message, Sam. I definitely would have talked myself into it for sure. In the moment, that video might have been a little different, though. Probably still would have spilled my beer. Not saying I wouldn't have still broke my ring light, but let's just say I'm glad it was Fields and not Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So let's talk about least favorite picks. Any picks that you dislike? Or I guess I kind of already asked you that. Never mind. Hold on. Players you were hoping the Eagles and Giants would get, but it didn't work out for you guys. Anybody you really, really had your eye on, not just in round 1, but in any of the drafts that you guys were hoping would be in Philly or New York? I don't care who starts. You guys pick.
Sam, you can go first, because I think you have an obvious one in the first round.
We both just said you go first at the same time.
Because we share one collective brain cell.
All right. Well, I'll give you guys the obvious answer. I was expecting Devonta Smith here. I honestly was even thinking Jalen Waddle would make it down to 11 to us if we had stayed in that position. That's who I had going in my mock draft. The fact that he went to the Dolphins really surprised me. I really was not expecting that all that much. But yeah, I'd probably say the obvious answer here is Devonta Smith. There wasn't really I think maybe to throw a shout out to Tom here is the fact that JOK didn't become a Giant. I as we kind of learned today, he had some heart issues or something, which is the reason why he dropped. But I wouldn't have minded him to come on our team. But getting Ojulari instead was obviously still a great pick. I'm still really happy about that. But, it's the Giants had a decent draft. I really don't have many quarrels with them this year. And like I said, I've talked myself into Kadarius Toney after seeing a lot of his tape because the kid is flipping fast. For sure.
I think first round, I got my hopes up very, very high. I was kind of on cloud 9 and I was like, wow, we're just going to do this. Round 2, I really wanted a corner because that was if Surtain or JC Horn were still available in the first and we were there and they took one of them, I would have been 100% completely fine with that. That is another position that we really have to fill. So going into the second round, I wanted Asante Samuel Jr. so bad. Like I was sitting there praying and the Dolphins didn't take him. And I was like, we're going to get him. We're going to get him. If it was either him or JOK, I didn't know about all the heart issues really until
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah. So now I kind of understand why teams kind of held off on him. But those were the two guys that I really wanted in the second round. And I do not hate Landon Dickerson. I don't hate that pick at all. I think he is, as a person, 10 out of 10, fantastic. As a player, great. The only thing that makes me a little nervous is the injury history. Yeah. That's the only red flag I have. This is something that we need to fill. If he can come in, and this is realistically our last season with Jason Kelce. So if he can come in and kind of take over, that sets us up great because you know how important he was to our team. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm against the second round pick. I don't hate it at all. I'm not mad about it. I think I just would have preferred Asante Samuel Jr. I'm still upset about that, but he went to the Chargers. So I still can root for him because I love them. So
yeah. Jordyn, I just want to say really quick, that's exactly what I thought of when you guys drafted Landon Dickerson. I was like, wow, he's going to be the next Jason Kelce if he becomes healthy. If he stays healthy, he's going to take over Kelce's job. And he's going to have the same kind of like energy towards it. They're kind of similar in terms of personality. So I think that really worked out for you in terms of your line.
I think I said this when I was down in Staten Island with you. Landon Dickerson is socks on Christmas morning. It's not something that's super flashy and like you don't get like really excited about it, but like it's a need and it's something that you are going to cherish like throughout the year. So that is my thoughts on Landon Dickerson.
That's incredible. Landon Dickerson equals socks on Christmas. Yeah, he was another one that like all of his Alabama teammates, you could tell really, really liked him. And he was just a big team guy, started at Florida State. They had all those issues with their coaching staff there, a lot of turnover, moves on to Alabama, probably couldn't be happier with that choice.
He also drafted for friendship. So
exactly. Also, Sam, did you mean to rhyme Kelce with healthy there? Because that just flowed like so smooth.
I didn't, but just call me a freestyle rapper here because I can just rhyme no problem. Actually, please don't do that. I would get so nervous.
I could rhyme no problem. I could rhyme anytime or never mind. So one video that I really liked that you guys did was with Her Sports Convo. You guys did the best and worst dressed from the NFL draft. And I want to get into that just real quick. In your guys' mind, who looked the best, who killed it, and who was a big
So me and Sam have very different opinions on this. So it's funny that you bring it up. I think we can both agree Devonta Smith and Patrick Surtain were 1 and 2. I think I have Smith at 1. Sam has Surtain at 1, but like they're both our top 2, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then my personal opinion, I love Jalen Waddle. I thought he looked I am alone on this. I even asked my mom when we got off that call. I asked my mom and I was like, did you like Jalen Waddle? She was like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm literally lone wolfing it on him. I just thought it was cool. I'm totally up for patterns. I don't know, but we definitely, our top 2 is definitely the same. One of my favorites is definitely one of Sam's least favorites. So I don't know how to take that.
Jordyn and I have very different styles. Like it's just kind of like that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But I really loved Patrick Surtain. He had the dusty pink suit on. It was beautiful, gorgeous. I loved it. Devonta Smith looked great. I had some quarrels about the fact that he looked like he was in a robe and slippers, and I was like, dude, it's not time to nap. We're getting drafted by the Eagles right now. Like this is what's going on. But he still looked great. Like he pulled it off. He was able to do that because he is pretty fly. But yeah, Jalen Waddle had, I think I counted 5 different patterns on him. And for me, I need at least one solid. Just one. Like I needed the collared shirt to be solid or something, and it would have looked like stellar. His shoes were so cool. His shoes were like studded white Air Forces or something like that. I don't know. So good, so cool. But the suit itself was a lot to take in for me personally. Jordyn, if you wore that suit yourself, you would pull it off. If I did, I would not. That's like, I think that's the discrepancy here. Is like I'm picturing myself in that many patterns. I need one solid. Like as you can see, tie-dye, solid hat. Like that's how I had to, work with my outfit. Right
it's like the rainbow threw up in here.
Yeah. it's just the way that it is. But the thing is, Jalen Waddle is pretty cool, so he was able to pull it off. So that is where I stand on that. Personally, wasn't a fan, but he pulled it off.
The one thing too that we all got a major kick out of, Kyle Pitts, I believe it now more than ever. He thought he was going to Miami.
Yeah.
He had a sick suit on. The suit itself was great, but then he threw in these socks that just so happened to be teal and orange that totally clashed with the suit, but would have made perfect sense if he got drafted by the Dolphins. So yeah, that was our like hot take too. He was not expecting to go to Atlanta.
He was not.
No, that man thought he had a one-way ticket down to Miami, Florida.
He looked confused too. He's like walking on stage like,
how did I get here?
What, Atlanta? This is not Miami. This is not Miami.
Where's the ocean?
So definitive best and worst. You give me that.
Oh, our worst.
For me, it's Jalen Waddle.
Your worst is
Rashawn Slater. Rashawn Slater wore a pattern, a window pane suit, and he's a large person. It did not work for him.
Yeah, and the tie. There was a lot. We said it. He was so close to being very, very well dressed, and yet so far. Like he was right there. But Rashawn Slater, definitely my least favorite. I think my personal favorite, minus Jalen Waddle, was Devonta Smith.
Yeah. I love it. We're keeping it fresh. Sam did some awesome superlatives for us for the draft. It was like best hair, obviously, is Trevor Lawrence. It was like most likely to be your best friend was Landon Dickerson. Most likely to cause drama, I think, was Micah Parsons. I like that one. What else? Do you remember any of the other ones, Sam?
My favorite one was most likely to get ID'd at 30 years old went to Zach Wilson. Because he's 12.
Speaking of his outfit, you texted us before the show, guys. I hate Zach Wilson's outfit. He literally looks like he's about to go to his sister's wedding. This is the NFL draft.
He looked like
I did say that.
And you're watching Disney Channel.
No, it was very safe. To be fair, afterwards, I found out that he is a Mormon, so I think that they're very conservative in the way that they dress, which is fine. Like,
they don't like to dance or drink alcohol, so I assume they're pretty conservative in that. Also, that dynamic, being a Mormon quarterback of the Jets in New York City, like, how is that going to work?
I heard a very I believe it was on the Dime Package today, the Barstool Sports football podcast, and they were talking about him being a New York quarterback and how they were like, we can't let him go to, I think it's Bounce and get mono the same way that Sam Darnold.
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Never going to get over that. He's in a different city, and we're still going to be bringing it up.
They were like, we can't taint Zach Wilson. We have to keep him pure.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So last year, for you guys. It was the draft of very attractive quarterbacks.
Yes.
Joey Burrow, Justin Herbert,
Yes.
two of your favorites.
Stop, I'm gonna blush.
Do you guys have any this year that you're like, oh yeah, I'm all about him?
Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I would lay my life out on the line for Justin Fields. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, Justin Fields is, he's a cutie patootie, but there was nobody in this draft that I feel the same as I do with like Joe Burrow.
Yeah, no, mine is
Yeah.
Justin Herbert. Nobody gives me those butterflies. It's a
And I
talented
love Justin Herbert.
class.
Love him so much. Like him and Joe Burrow are like head to head. But in this draft, no one really gave me the vibe. No one really gave it to me. I mean, Kyle Pitts, I think, looks phenomenal. I think that he's really good looking, but just wasn't giving me the same thing. So this draft, to be honest, I was surprised to myself that I'm like, why am I not feeling the feelings that I was feeling last year for all these other guys? So I don't know. This draft was also like super weird for me. Like it was like weirdly stressful.
It was toxic.
I don't know.
This
was
draft
weird.
was genuinely toxic because I think
Yeah,
there was
like so toxic for no reason.
no reason. And like, I think there was so much talent to go around, but we were putting so much pressure on like certain people and certain picks. And like, there was so much that had to happen and it felt so toxic, but I agree. I didn't like last draft. I was just like in love. Like I was like really feeling it. This draft, I could be a little more focused on like football. I was like, all right, we are concentrated. We are locked in.
Agreed.
I did not have that last year. Last year, I was like, oh my God.
It's definitely a little different when, Trevor Lawrence looks like the weird way he looks and that long hair. And, last year was Joey Burrow and just the gorgeous human that he is. What?
To be fair, if like Trevor Lawrence came up to me and was like, hey, can you braid my hair? I'd be like swooning. I'd be like, 100%. I will French braid your hair, Trevor. It's probably so soft. He probably conditions it every day. Like
he definitely does. It's okay. I really hope he hears this because I really want this to be a thing. He's always had the long hair. Now he's an NFL quarterback. I want him to rep double French braids.
Yes.
One forever. I would full on love everything about it.
Call me up. I will be the Jacksonville Jaguars French braider. I am so good at French braiding.
Okay, so
I
Sam
can
is
French
going
braid my
to
own hair.
We need to make this a thing because it would be so sick. And I think it would boost his confidence. Like he'd be like, wow, I got my French braids in. And he would take over the world.
No, that would be great. That would be fantastic. I am so on board with that.
Fuck. If he shows up Sunday, they get him on the walking into the stadium. He's got his backpack on. Is that French braid? What the fuck? That would be great. So that was incredible. So let's do our draft grades. So each of us, before we get into the rest of the NFL, I'm a Bears fan. Jordy's an Eagles fan, as you can tell. And then Sam, you can see by her hat, New York sports fan. She's a Giants fan. So each of us are going to give our little spiel, what we disliked, what we liked about about each of our teams. And then we'll get into probably a little shorter recaps of each of the other 32 teams. So, Sam, I'm going to start with you. Giants draft, give us the MO from a Giants fan. What do we need to know? What do you like? What do you dislike? All the trades, all the moves they made, the guys they got. Just hit me with it.
Okay, so honestly, I would have given us an A+ in this draft, but I did give them an A because we happened to draft 2 corners, and I really don't think we needed 2 corners. But other than that, I think they traded down twice, and Dave Gettleman has never traded down in his entire career as our GM. So the fact that 2 consecutive rounds he traded down gave me a little bit of agita, but I think that it came out on top. Ojulari going at 50 was a steal for us because we probably would have taken him at 42 if we hadn't traded down, and that somehow they knew that he would still be there at 50. And I think that that's a really big win for us. Like I was talking about before, Kadarius Toney, I've watched his film. I've watched him as a person. He seems like he's going to be really great in our scheme. He kind of is different from Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard. And to be honest, this I believe I tweeted it out from Chris Guzzo, who's the entertainer talking sports. He said that like this is the first year that we feel like Daniel Jones has everything that he needs to succeed. He has everything offensively that he could possibly actually be a fantastic quarterback, which is going to be really telling because if he is not that great quarterback, we have 2 first-round picks next year that we can use for a new quarterback, which brings me a lot of comfort. I don't want Daniel Jones to not succeed. I want him to do really great. But with all these tools that he now has, I think that that's going to be really telling of him how he performs this season. In terms of the rest of these guys, we got another running back too, which I feel like just adds to our depth. I'm not upset about it at all. Gary Brightwell out of Arizona. I'm again, Saquon's back. Injuries in the books here. I'm hoping he doesn't get hurt again, but we need the depth, which is totally fine. And then we had an outside linebacker, which is also working for me. So overall, I give the Giants an A. They would have gotten an A+ if there was a couple tweaks in there. But overall, I am very happy with the way we drafted. I'm very happy with what we're going into with these draft picks. And hopefully, sorry, Jordyn, I hope we win the division next year.
No, that's fair. It's fine. I hope we win the division. So we're both of the same page.
Like one of my favorite actually moments from our draft show was when the Eagles traded up for Smith and they took him. We had my friend Chris Wilson. He does a podcast called Final Score for Podcast City Network. He's also an Eagles fan, so we had him on to give his thoughts. And like literally as soon as they made the pick, Tom was so pissed off. He just goes, well, congratulations on 4th place in division next year. And like he realized it like almost instantly. Just I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Like apologize immediately. It was great. Like such like an instant Giants fan reaction. Just like that was his guy. He thought he was getting him the whole time, but it was just like, oh my God. And then he's like, Chris, I'm really sorry. No, great pick. That's a great pick for you guys.
He went from like diehard Giants fan to like unbiased sports opinion.
To realize, yes, yeah. To like normal Tom we're used to seeing like on every stream ever. He just like, yes. Holy shit. So Jordyn, it's your turn. Give me your Eagles breakdown for the 2021 NFL draft.
Yeah, so this was I'd say a good draft for the Eagles. My overall grade for them is a B+. They were very close to making that A-. What kind of deterred me from that, like I said, round 2, I didn't love, but I didn't hate. Socks on Christmas morning. Round 3 really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. We got Milton Williams from Louisiana Tech. He's a defensive guy. The problem with me is where we are going to use him. That was one of the only positions that I actually felt we were strong in. So to me, it kind of, and like Howie Roseman came out and tried to defend it. And he said, listen, we won our Super Bowl by building up both of our lines. So that's what their goal was, trying to go again, which I totally understand. I respect it, but I would have, especially not going cornerback in round 2. I would have loved them to go cornerback in round 3. So that's kind of the only thing that dropped them. It kind of felt like they missed the ball here. We all saw the video where Howie, after that round 3 pick, kind of went around like fist bumping, and the one guy in the corner of the room was like, nope. That's how I felt during that pick. And like, I watched he is a great player. Like, this isn't me knocking him at all. I just didn't think we needed him there. I think that other shoes to fill, we took Zach McPherson from Texas Tech. So we got him round 4, 123rd overall. I just would have, not that he's going to be a bad corner. I just think this is someone we needed, some of the best in this draft class. So that's the only thing that kind of really, really upset me. Everything else, the running back we got at 150th, Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis. I love this guy. And this is a position, I know we have Miles Sanders. I know we have Boston Scott. Miles Sanders does seem to deal with an injury bug. And nothing too serious, but he does miss games. And this is just a position I think we need depth at. I think this guy fell because he is on the smaller side, but I love the way we use Boston Scott. So now if we can double up on Boston Scott's, I think we're in a very good position. So I do like what we did. This was the best I felt about an Eagles draft in a very long time. So I'm comfortable. I feel great. I'm happy to give us that B+, but it definitely didn't reach that A mark yet.
Okay. I like that. I like what both of you guys said a lot, especially, this is the reaction you guys need from fans, like I said in the promo, that are living and dying each week with these teams, not just in football season. We have 4 months till fucking football starts, which it fucking pains me to say, but it's like we're still like, this is our content right now. We're diving in. Like, how are we going to do next year? Like right after the draft. Like that's what I love about draft weekend. And it's after draft weekend now. It's just the buzz already starts. It starts now, 4 months to go till the season starts. So Jordy gives the Eagles a B+. Sam gives the Giants an A. So now you guys get to hear me just absolutely talk about the Bears. I don't know how long this is going to go. Just hang with me. Okay, Chicago Bears draft. Going into it, I think, all right, we have the 20th pick. I don't think we're going to be aggressive. I didn't think we were going to trade up. I had a lot of people texting me. I had a lot of people saying the Bears have to take a quarterback. I actually didn't think they did. With Andy Dalton being the starter, I'm not saying he's going to be like a quality guy, but I'm like, okay, we might be able to wait one more year for a quarterback. And I figured we go OL at the 20th pick. I knew if they stayed at 20, they were taking an offensive lineman. If they traded up, we got to take a quarterback. Turns out they do. Going crazy on the draft show, how I mentioned earlier, it just kind of like hit me out of nowhere almost, where Sam's like, oh my God, there was a trade. Oh my God, it's the Bears. It was just like, I'm like instantly losing my mind. So the Bears trade up to 11. So they acquire the pick from the Giants for the number 20 overall pick, the 164th pick, a 2022 first round pick, and a 2022 fourth round pick. So I'm looking at this from a Bears perspective. Okay, we just gave up 4 picks for 1. So it better work out right off the bat. Like it better work out. At 20, obviously the Giants end up getting Kadarius Toney. At 164, I don't remember off the top of my head who you guys got, but that 2022 first round, that's going to be something. Mm-hmm. You got 2022 fourth round. So if you're the Giants, you now have 7 picks in the first 4 rounds of the draft. Yeah. Dave Gettleman has more draft capital than he's probably ever had in his career as a GM. So great for you. But let's go back to the Bears. So we take Justin Fields, 6'3", 227. For his career at Ohio State, he completed 68.4% of his passes, threw for 5,000 yards, 63 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions, guys. That's huge for me. PFF said he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks that they have ever tracked. Literally the exact quote. Field has been one of the most accurate quarterbacks we've ever charted. In his first game against Nebraska this season, he didn't let go of a single off-target pass. The problem is, at Ohio State, he didn't have to throw into a lot of tight windows. The receivers at Ohio State are kind of all over the place. They're all over the field. A lot of times they were wide open. He didn't have to squeeze a ball in. He will have to do that in the NFL. There are elite corners literally at every team. He's going to be the most athletic QB the Bears have had in a long time. Legit franchise quarterback. He's got physical tools. The leadership he brings are too great to ignore. You can have some questions about his accuracy, which I know some people have had, but literally he only, I think played 8 games this year. At Ohio State, had 2 bad games. The 6 he played he was pretty much untouchable. Like I said earlier, the PFF grade of 93.5 this year as a senior. You just don't see that in college football a lot. Then we talk about the second round. We're sitting at 52. We're like, okay, we got to go get an lineman here. My thoughts are Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. I know Tom Scavetta's guy. I thought maybe we could get him there. It's another one of those where, what the fuck is going on? I had to join the review and preview broadcast a little early, and that's the first thing I said. Guys, what is going on? The Bears trade up to 39 to get Tevin Jenkins. Tevin Jenkins is a guy they were linked to at getting at number 20. So they get a first-round talent in the second round. They're fucking knocking it out of the park at tackle. Who did the Bears have at tackle last year? Jermaine Ifedi, who's a guard, who they had to move over when Bobby Massey got hurt. And then you have Charles Leno Jr. And, credit to 72. He just got cut. He was a 7th-round draft pick in 2014. He made 91 consecutive starts for the Bears since 2014. So credit to him. Thank you for all you did, Charles. But, it's a new era. We have an upgraded tackle here with Tevin Jenkins. He's really, really good in the run block. I love this guy. He's 6'6", 317. You don't get that size a lot at the tackle position. He's moved around a lot at Oklahoma State. He can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. I'll be curious to see, kind of where we put him. He has limited reps at the in pass block, but when he did, he looked great. He was labeled as one of the best run blockers in this draft. Did it a lot for Chuba Hubbard. It's so hard not to say Hubbard when you say Chuba. Chuba Hubbard at Oklahoma State, one of the best running backs in college football. But he's physical as fuck. He wants to punch you in the mouth, and he wants to run you over. This is a literal quote from him at his press day. He goes, basically, I want to impose my will against another man and use that force against him until he gets worn out and tired. And I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to do that 24/7. I'm going to do that all game. Inject this guy right into my veins. we take a franchise quarterback and directly after him, we take this guy to fucking block for him. I am all in. He improved every single season at Oklahoma State. He got better and better. Big 12 last year, first team all conference as a senior, 92.0 PFF grade. This guy is going to be legit. He does have short arms, does struggle. He's projected he might struggle in some pass block situations. But when you can get a guy at 39 that was projected as going as high as 18, 19, 20th pick, like that's a win in my opinion. Sure, what we gave up for him. So we traded up with the Panthers to make this pick. So the Bears traded away their second round pick at number 52, the 83rd pick in round 3, and their first pick in the 6th round, number 204, and they got back in return Carolina's pick at 39 and a 5th round slot at 151. So through the first 2 rounds, my analysis here, knocking it out of the park. But at the same time, I said it earlier, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy literally have their backs against the wall. They have to do this. They don't. That's why they're making these trades up. They don't care about these picks from the future years because they don't know if they're going to fucking be here. So this shit better work out. But so far, I love it. I love what they're doing. We go to the 3rd round. They take another tackle, Larry Borum out of Missouri, 6'6", 332. And he's got great timing with his hands, strong upper body, similar to Jenkins. But he really struggled to find his fit at Missouri. He really improved, though, when they did stick him at the right tackle position and he had that actual position he knew. He was projected as being taken in the 6th round. Bears took him in the 5th. They might have reached a little bit for him. The 6th round is really where the Bears knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, as well. They get a guy, Khalil Herbert, out of Virginia Tech, formerly of Kansas. So as a senior at Virginia Tech grad transfer, this was his 5th year in college, so he is on the older side. Scouts don't like that. He played 10 games, 155 attempts, 1,172 yards, 8 touchdowns. He was a big play back for the Hokies this year. Was very shifty in space, made a lot of big plays, a lot of long runs for them. He started his career at Kansas, like I said. And then they go with these guys that have high PFF grades, 89.5 PFF grade as a senior. In round 6, again, 221, they take Daz Newsome out of North Carolina. Absolute speed demon. He runs a sub 4.4 40 at UNC for his career. 2,435 yards and 18 total touchdowns, 13 yards per catch for his career. His best year was a junior in 2019, 72 receptions for 1,000 yards, 14.1 yards per catch, and 10 touchdowns. He's a huge yards after catch guy. Once he gets it and he's in space, he's very shifty and he's really hard to bring down. The drops were an issue for him at UNC. I think he had 20 total drops in 4 years, which is a lot. He's mostly going to be a slot guy. At UNC, I think he was used out wide maybe like 5 times in 4 years. So he's going to have to improve his route running a little bit, but he was legit one of the best deep threats in college football in 2019 as a slot guy, and that you just don't see that a lot. Another steal they got in round 6, in my opinion, is Thomas Graham Jr. He's a cornerback out of Oregon. He opted out for his senior year. That's probably why he slid down so far. PFF had him projected as a 3rd or 4th round pick. So his career at Oregon, 143 total tackles, 40 of those were assisted, 183 total. 1 sack, 8 interceptions, 32 passes defended. 21 penalties in 3 years of college football. That's not great. That's a lot of penalties in college football rules. So he's going to have to clean that up. But he doesn't panic. He trusts his athleticism. He doesn't try to do too much, and he just attacks through the catch point with no hesitation. So I think he's a guy maybe you look out for to play a significant role in the secondary next year. So And then in round 7, they go Chris Tonga from BYU, 6'4", 321. Great size at nose tackle, very light on his feet. You don't see that a lot. But the problem with him is he didn't dominate as well as he was used to. He didn't dominate as much as he should have. He played at BYU, played a lot of lesser competition. He's 6'4", 230, and he really didn't dominate as much as scouts would have wanted him to against lesser competition. So that's my Bears spiel. I'm sorry, I don't know how long that went, but A+. that is what I'm going to say. Sam said it earlier. A+. You got your quarterback of the future with Justin Fields. You got a guy in Tevin Jenkins that can block for him, and maybe a guy in I'm sorry, I've already forgot his name. Larry from Missouri. Great radio. Larry Borum from Missouri.
Larry from Missouri.
huge fan.
That's all we need.
They have their type at tackle, though. They're both tackles. They took both guys that are 6'6", like 320 plus. So I really like that. You got your quarterback. You got a couple guys that can block for him. And then you have guys in Herbert that can contribute as like a third down running back or a third string running back. And then a guy like Daz Newsome, you put him in the slot or a special teams and see what he can do. So let's go through the rest of the NFL quickly. I don't want to keep you guys here too long because I know we've already got an hour. So we'll start with Arizona Cardinals. We'll just go alphabetically. So their picks, I'm just going to read them off. Zaven Collins in the first round. Rondale Moore out of Purdue receiver. Marco Wilson out of Florida in round 4. He was the guy that threw the shoe against LSU, if you remember that. In round 6, they go Victor Dimuke. I'm going to say this wrong. Dimukeje. In round 6, they also get Tay Gowan out of UCF. James Wiggins, a safety out of Cincinnati in round 7, and then Michael Manet, a center out of Penn State. I know we talked about Zaven Collins earlier. My draft grade for them, I'm just going to do that real quick. I gave them a B. I really like Collins, and I love Rondale Moore adding to the slot in that offense with Kyler Murray. God damn it. Kyler Murray, they just added AJ Green as well as I'm blanking. Who's their other receiver? James Conner in the backfield and DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins. Yep.
Absolutely. So what do you guys think about the Cardinals and what they did this draft weekend?
I think B. They were on the verge of B or B- for me. I agree exactly with what you said. Round 1 and round 2 were fantastic. And this is a team that is slowly becoming stacked. Adding JJ Watt to that defense is incredible. I think I would have liked to see a little bit more on that line, just because before they brought JJ in, the other two guys is very unstable. So I think I just would have liked to see some added help there just in case. But overall, they did great, just not like excellent. So yeah, I think that B range is very fair.
I actually gave them an A-. Honestly, between Zaven Collins and Rondale Moore, I think that really boosted them. I think Jordyn and I both were on the same page that right after they drafted Rondale Moore, we were like, oh my God, this
Cardinals are the real deal.
Stacked. And like, to be honest, like I know that division is really going to be difficult and competitive, but we saw the Cardinals this past year be really close to coming at least into the wild card. And with this and their increased defense, who I think that they did a fairly good job, honestly, apart from the center that they drafted, everybody else was defensive. So I think that with Rondale Moore and Zaven Collins both here in the first 2 picks, I gave him an A-. I'm really excited to see the Cardinals play. And like Jordyn said, she loves DeAndre Hopkins. I love watching DeAndre Hopkins play. I think he is an excellent athlete. And Kyler Murray, he's coming into his own at this point. Like, I really think that this offense is going to be extremely good. So I'm giving them an A- because I have a lot of faith in the Arizona Cardinals this year.
They're one of my favorite teams to watch going into this season. Hands down.
Yeah, 100%.
They're very likable. They're a very likable team. And, I'm going to point to Tay Gowan here. They get him at day 3. He's a top 10 cornerback prospect, top 75 overall player on PFF's big board. I know I keep talking about PFF, but they're literally my go-to website. I think they do some of the best work as far as football analysis goes. Definitely worth the subscription. Like, you're not going to find quarterbacks that have a chance to develop into quality starters at that stage of the draft. They got him in round 6. You talk about UCF, they play in the ACC. It's not a Power 5, but he's got great size. He moves well. His production, he only started 1 year at UCF, but he opened a lot of eyes. A lot of people had him projected in round 4 or 5, as a day 2 guy. He ends up going day 3, and I think he has a really good chance to compete with Marco Wilson to be the better cornerback they picked in this draft. So let's move on. We're gonna go to the Atlanta Falcons. So we talked about Kyle Pitts. They go Kyle Pitts in round 4. They followed it up with another UCF guy, safety Richie Grant, another guy we didn't see going this high in round 2. Round 3, Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan. Round 4, Darren Hall out of San Diego State. That's a cornerback. Also in round 4, they take center Drew Dalman out of Stanford. Taquan Graham out of Texas in round 5. Another name I'm going to mess up. I apologize. Edo Kombo Ogadunji out of Notre Dame. And also in round 5, they take Avery Williams out of Boise State. And then in round 6, they get Frank Darby, a receiver out of Arizona State. So as far as the Falcons go, they don't take a quarterback. They take Pitts in round 1, but he really, really fits the scheme and what Arthur Smith wants to do. Jordy, what did you think about the Falcons draft?
I give him a B. Kyle Pitts is the steal. If I could just give them a 100% congratulations on Kyle Pitts, he is my favorite person coming out of this draft. The reason I was honestly so heartbroken when the Eagles traded back, wasn't because we traded back. It was because I knew it was impossible to get Pitts at that point. So that is how much I love him. I think they did solid. They hit all bases, but other than Pitts, there wasn't really anybody that kind of stood out to me. But they hit everything they needed to hit, focused a lot on that defense. They got the offensive tackle. I honestly think I would have preferred them to go quarterback, if I'm being 100% honest. I think that's kind of where they missed. Matt Ryan, I know he still has a couple years left, and I'm not knocking him, but when you have so many talented young guys right now and sitting at the position that they were sitting in, I think they were in the perfect position to either take a quarterback or trade back and build up some capital for future, because you're not going to have Matt Ryan for that much longer. So that's kind of where I think they missed out. But yeah, overall, fine.
Yeah, I'm giving them a B plus, A minus, mostly just because Kyle Pitts is in this mix.
Yeah.
He is one of the best people to come out of this draft. The fact that the Atlanta Falcons took him at 4 is really beneficial to their offense. I was really intrigued at Jalen Mayfield, the guard out of Michigan. In my personal mock draft, I had him going in the first round. So for him to drop a bit was pretty cool for me. So the Atlanta Falcons taking him, I think, is going to be really beneficial. The reason why my grade leans more towards a B plus is the fact, like Jordyn was saying, that there is no quarterback getting taken out for this team in this draft. I was really thinking that they were going to take some, 5, 6, 7 round, quarterback, just so that they have someone to back up Matty Ice. But that didn't happen. And that, his name's Matty Ice at this point. I think you're muted, Andy.
Yeah.
I definitely was muted, but I love the name Matty Ice. That's what I have to say.
That honestly, call whoever you need to call to get your name legally changed. Change your name to Matty Ice. It's so much cooler. But yeah, honestly, that's the only thing that makes my grade drop for them a little bit. I really wanted them to have at least a small safety net, because Matt Ryan is getting up there in age, and we've seen him struggle these past few years in his quarterback position. But with Kyle Pitts, hopefully it makes him a little bit of a better quarterback. So we will see how the Atlanta Falcons fare off. But yeah, I'm going to go with a B plus.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar here. I gave the Falcons a B. And it is mostly Kyle Pitts. I thought they reached a little bit on Richie Grant, but it's a huge part of their need. They need a safety. Their secondary was really bad last year. And then to get a guy like Jalen Mayfield in the 3rd round, I thought that's a huge win for them. I'm going to go with a B. It is mostly based off Kyle Pitts here, but guys, he is one of the most interesting pass catchers. I'm going to say pass catcher because you can move into receiver. You can move into tight end. He could do either one. That's come through this draft. In 2020, his receiving grade was 96.1. He had a drop rate of 0%. he catches everything that comes his way. He doesn't drop the ball. He blocks well in the run game. He is just one of the best all-around pass catchers that we've seen in a long time come to the NFL. Like I mentioned earlier, he fits into the scheme that Arthur Smith wants to run. I'm expecting a huge year from Kyle Pitts, to be honest with you, because I think Matt Ryan still has something left in the tank. I don't think he's this incredible quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, but he's a veteran that's been there. We're talking about a former number 1 overall pick, a guy that's played in the Super Bowl, a guy that, was an MVP, albeit when Kyle Shanahan was his offensive coordinator, and he really hasn't played up to that level since then. But, obviously this means the Falcons still have some confidence in him. Do we see Kyle Pitts and Julio Jones on the same field? There's talk that Julio is on the move. But I think Kyle Pitts is a very interesting addition to this offense in Atlanta. So let's move on to our next team. We're going to talk about Baltimore. They got their number 1 receiver, it looks like. At pick number 27 in the first round, they go after Rashad Bateman. In round number 2, they get at the end of round 1, they get Jason Away from Penn State. Round 3, they get Ben Cleveland out of Georgia. Brandon Stevens, a quarterback out of SMU in round 3 as well. Another receiver. I love this pick, guys. Tylan Wallace in round 4 out of Oklahoma State is a guy that is going to make an impact on the Ravens immediately with Rashad Bateman. You can book that right now. Shaun Wade out of Ohio State in round 5. They get edge Dalen Hayes out of Notre Dame, and then tight end Ben Mason out of Michigan. Interesting, they're putting him at tight end. Ben Mason played fullback for the Wolverines in his career. So what do you guys think about the Ravens draft?
I'm giving the Ravens an A. I think that they did very, very well. Getting Rashad Bateman was a steal at the way that they, like the number that they picked at, because I think a lot of people thought Rashad Bateman was going to go way earlier than he did. And the fact that he was still there when they picked the first time in the first round was really just a steal for them. So with him and Tylan Wallace, like you were saying, Andy, I had him written down here like with a little star next to his name, because I was like, people are going to like kind of throw him off just because he's going to be under Rashad Bateman and people are talking about Rashad Bateman, but like, don't write him off. I think that this offense is going to get so much better, and with a tight end as well. Like they really stacked up here. I think it's really funny that they drafted someone with the last name Cleveland, because of the fact that that's going to be interesting in that rivalry when they play the Browns twice a year, having a guard named Ben Cleveland. But overall, I think the Ravens did a really, really good job, and I'm giving them an A. And also Away out of Penn State was just another perfect for their pick, like for their number that they picked at. Like they were like, okay, we're going to go to receiver, outside linebacker, and that's exactly what they did, and they picked the best of the best. And Rashad, again, I will say it again, Rashad Bateman being that low really blew my mind, and they got really lucky.
Yeah, I agree. The Ravens definitely deserve an A. The bases that they hit, and like you said, they took best of. They literally covered every single one of their needs, and they got very good guys to do that. So you really can't ask for much more from them. I'm excited to see what these offensive weapons can do with Lamar. I kind of want, not that Lamar fell off last season, but he just didn't look as strong as he did the year prior when he was MVP. So I'm excited for this team. I'm excited to see what they can come out and do. And I definitely think they nailed this.
Yeah. So for me, it's a couple guys. I mean, you have to mention Jason Away. So he was a big topic of conversation. You know, he's a guy at Penn State that has all the physical tools. You're 6'5", 257. He 40-inch vertical. He ran a 4.39 40. He's running a sub 4.4 40 at 6'5", 257. And he's coming off the edge. But the problem is last year at Penn State, he didn't record a sack. So he's got the physical tools, but can he, put that all together in the NFL? I mentioned a guy like Tylan Wallace. I'm going to pull up his stats here really quick, something I probably should have had before. But, like, in college, this man was incredible. For his career at Oklahoma State, 205 receptions, over 3,000 yards, 3,434 yards, 26 total touchdowns. He averaged 16.8 yards per catch. He's a guy that can get off the ball quickly and is going to be a problem for some NFL quarterbacks. I think you pair him and Rashad Rashad Bateman really nicely. Of course, as I still have the Atlanta Falcons thing up here, we're not talking about them. And then Shaun Wade, they got him in day 3. He returned in 2020 after initially opting out. I think he would have gone higher than he did. He was really good in the slot, but he struggled mightily on the outside in 2020. So I think look for the Ravens to kind of try Shaun Wade out in the slot as a slot corner and then see where they go from here. So I'm going to give them a B+. Let's go now to the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills start with Gregory Rousseau out of Miami, Carlos Basham Jr. out of Wake Forest, Spencer Brown out of Northern Iowa, Timmy Doyle out of Miami, Ohio, Marquez Stevenson out of Houston, DeMar Hamlin out of Pittsburgh, Richard Wild Goose out of Wisconsin. Incredible name.
That
name.
It's
Rashad. No, it's Rashad Wild Goose, not Richard. Apologies. Rashad Wild Goose, and then Jack Anderson out of Texas Tech. Jordy, give me your grade for the Bills.
I give them a B+. This team didn't need that much to get any better. And I think they did exactly what they had to do to make them that next level team. Gregory Rousseau was someone I had my eye on. I really liked him. I actually had him in my mock draft going a little bit earlier. So I think the fact that he fell and they got to snag him was brilliant. This defense, they went edge the second round as well. They literally just went need-based, let's build up these lines. And I think that's the smartest thing you can do right now. They did get the wide receiver in round 6. But overall, this team wasn't a team that needed that much. They just needed little jimmies on top to get them to that next level. And that's exactly what they went for. So definitely B+ for the Bills, America's team, and not the Cowboys.
America's team, the Buffalo Bills.
I will jump through a table for them this year. I will do it.
100%. I am so excited to jump through a table for the Buffalo Bills. We're on the same track here, Jordan. I also gave them a B+. I was riding the Greg Rousseau train really hard. I know that when we did our top 5s for different positions for our draft show last week, I had Greg Rousseau at number 2 for the defensive end. So I was really just hyping him up, and I'm like, this guy's going to be great. I'm so excited. His draft call, I just have to say, was adorable. It was so cute. He was the phone started ringing and he was like, everybody shut up. Everybody shut up. And he's like, hello. It was so cute. It was so cute. So I'm super stoked about him. I'm super stoked that he's in Buffalo of all places. So I think that's going to be really great for him. I believe the wide receiver that they picked up will be a punt returner for them.
Stevenson,
so, obviously he's not taking any jobs from Stephon Diggs or anything like that, which they wouldn't do anyway. But just a solid guy who can return a punt is definitely needed at all times, I think. Overall, they really didn't need a lot. If Buffalo didn't have any draft picks, I don't think it really would have affected them all that much. But they were able to, I like that put the jimmies on top, Jordan. I think that's really cute, just to finish everything all off. And so B+ for America's team.
Yes.
It's all about the Jimmies and the Joes, not the X's and the O's, okay?
Put it on a t-shirt, Andy.
Yeah, merch.
I can't take credit for that saying, but I will on the show. So I want quickly about Rousseau. Physical freak, 6'7". He has 34.75 inch arms, 11-inch hands. He opted out of 2020, the 2020 season, so that's probably why he fell a little bit. But, in this draft as a whole, they undervalued edge rushers a lot. But the Bills go and get 2 of them with their first 2 picks. I also gave the Bills a B. I liked what they did. Rousseau, I'm going to be curious. The Bills did go after an edge rusher last year with their first pick in AJ Epineza out of Iowa. Didn't really pan out like they were hoping he would. But again, he's only a rookie. How much can you really expect from these guys as a rookie? But you have to get some extra points for taking a guy named Wild Goose. That's the best name in the draft.
So good.
So let's move on to the Panthers. Round 1 at number 8, they take the first defensive player in the draft after 7 straight offensive players. That was the first time ever in NFL history. So J.C. Horn, the first defensive player off the board for the Panthers at number 8, a cornerback out of South Carolina. They get a steal at 59, in my opinion, with Therese Marshall Jr. out of LSU. They take a tackle out of BYU, Brady Christensen, Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame, Chuba Hubbard, not Hubbard, Chuba Hubbard from Oklahoma State, Davian Nixon from Iowa, Keith Taylor from Washington, Deontay Brown from Alabama, Shee Smith, a receiver from South Carolina, Thomas Fletcher, a long snapper from Alabama in round 6. One of the best draft calls. If you haven't seen that video, go look that up on the Panthers Twitter.
Yes.
It's Matt Rule calls him. He goes, You coming? You ready to go? You coming? And he goes, I mean, what are you talking about, coach? He goes, I just drafted you. Let's go. And Thomas Fletcher's like, all right, let's go. Let's go. Like those, so many videos, so many great draft calls. So long snapper gets his name called in round 6. And then lastly, they have Phil Hoskins out of Kentucky. Sam, what is your draft grade for the Carolina Panthers?
I gave the Panthers an A because of the fact that they were able to literally remake their
long snapper. I get it.
Yeah, for the long snapper specifically. I just want to give a shout out. There is a long snapper that was drafted a few years ago to the Patriots. His last name is Cardona, and he's the only Cardona I know that's in the league. Of course, he's on the Patriots of all places. Otherwise, I would have bought his jersey. But yeah, Joe Cardona, long snapper. But this long snapper from Alabama. I mean, he's from Alabama. Let's be real. He's probably an excellent long snapper coming out of that organization. So I'm giving them an A because of the fact that they were literally able to remake this offense. Apart from J.C. Horn going in the first round, I mean, Terrace Marshall Jr. going that low was absolutely insane. It was such a steal for them. I have his name highlighted with stars all around it because I was like, I'm gonna say that this guy is insane. They got a tight end, they got a running back, they got another wide receiver. With this new, offense coming in with Sam Darnold, I think that they're trying to give him things that he can work with other than the things that he already has on the team. So I'm giving them an A because of the fact that they were able to do that. And I really like Matt Rule as a coach. I think he makes a lot of really good choices. So that is what I'm going with for the Carolina Panthers.
I was very close to also giving them an A. I am going to give them a B+. They're like right on like that verge where like the students asking for the extra points to like bump them up, but they're just not there yet for me. Just because J.C. Horn is a steal, and I think they're definitely going to utilize them, and it's not a bad pick. I don't love them going cornerback in the first round. I don't
love them going cornerback at 8, to be honest with you. I didn't even have J.C. Horn as my number 1 overall corner. I had Surtain as my number 1 corner. I thought it was very interesting he went there. He is elite in press man coverage, but I'm sorry. Go on.
No, you're totally fine. And like I had Surtain as my number 1, but I do think you could kind of combine. Like it was like them tied on like that one tier, and then it was like the other cornerbacks are like the tier right below them. So I guess it's just kind of like, which one do you think best fits our organization? And I do think the Panthers are going to he's a great guy. He's going to help them. I just think, when you just got Sam Darnold, I think it would have also been smart if they took a quarterback. I know it was a hot take, but like you only signed Sam Darnold to a one-year deal. I'm convinced he's going to be great, but like God forbid he isn't. You don't have that backup with Teddy Bridgewater anymore, and then you also have draft capital for if it doesn't work out. So I don't think that would have been the worst move. And I also think they would have easily gone receiver here. I'm glad they didn't because it would have wiped the board. But I just think there were a couple other things I would have done in the first. Other than that, I think they hit everything. But it was just that for cornerback taking Horn instead of searching. Like there was just a couple of things that rubbed me the wrong way about that first overall pick for them.
Yeah, I think J.C. Horn's going to be a good player, and I think he really is. Like I said, he's really good at press man coverage, but that's not what the Panthers play. They keep their corners, off position, so he's gonna have to adjust to that. So he didn't really fit the scheme. So I didn't really know where they were going here, to be honest with you. But I really like that they get Marshall in the second round. He slid this block because he had a couple of medical concerns, similar to Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah. On the field, though, he's a first-round talent. He's 6'3", like 220, I think. One of the few like really big receivers in this draft. You talk about Waddle, he's not a huge guy. Jamar Chase isn't that big. Of course, Devonta Smith, that's all they ever talked about, how he needed to put on weight. But get the fuck out of here. Missed me with that shit. But for the Panthers, I'm going to give them a B. Because I didn't love the J.C. Horn pick. I'm not saying he's not going to be a good player. I just didn't love it. I like the Marshall pick a lot. The Christensen pick on offensive line, 96.0 PFF grade in 2020. A lot of athleticism. God, I cannot talk. But can he hold up at tackle with only 32-inch arms? That's a big thing. Like really, really diving in to the NFL draft this year, more so than I have in years past. Not that I haven't watched it and that stuff, but like doing more research and being able to do a show about it. I'll be like, they really fucking care about how long these dudes' arms are. So I give a B for the Panthers. We're gonna move on to the Cincinnati Bengals, and I know Sam. Jordy, you might also have some thoughts about this. The Bengals, first pick, round 5, they take Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Round 2, they go Jackson Carman from Clemson. That's an offensive tackle. 3, they go Joseph Asai, an edge from Texas. They get another edge in Cameron Sample from Tulane in round 4. Round 4, they also take Tyler Shelvin from LSU, Deontay Smith from East Carolina in round 4 as well. Evan McPherson, they took a kicker in round 5. Did you see the video of him kicking the ball and spinning the lid off a Gatorade bottle? That was insane.
So cool.
Trey Hill, a center from Georgia. They get Chris Evans, not Captain America, running back from Michigan in round 6, and then Wyatt Hubert, an edge from Kansas State. So give me your draft grade for the Cincinnati Bengals, Sam Cardona.
I gave them a B because of the fact that they didn't take Penei Sewell at the way he should have. And Jordyn and I are on the same page. And I know that Andy is not. I know that he likes the Jamar Chase. I see
the argument. I understand the argument. I just feel like it's after talking to AJ Eder Williams from the 3-Man Week podcast, who is a huge Bengals fan. He sold me on the Jamar Chase pick.
I totally understand it. I get it. Like Joe Burrow getting reunited with one of his best receivers on the same team. Like, I get it. But you sent me that tweet of him. It's Joe Burrow in his white jersey covered in grass stains.
The Photoshop. Yeah, that was
he's going to just be laying on the ground the whole time. But I am happier that they got Jackson Carman out of Clemson. Solid offensive tackle for that. I believe Deontay Smith is also an offensive lineman. So I'm giving them a B mostly because of the Sewell thing. Like, they didn't pick Penei Sewell like I thought they should have. But I'm definitely so into the fact that they had Evan McPherson. Jordyn, I don't know if you saw that video of him doing the kick with the Gatorade bottle. Literally the coolest thing I've ever seen.
No, that was unbelievable.
I don't know if any other kicker went in this draft. I think he was the only kicker that went in this draft. But it just, a talented kicker deserves to go drafted. If you are that good that you can kick from, however far away he was and just literally slice a freaking Gatorade cap off. I think that's so cool. Chris Evans, Captain America, will be joining the Cincinnati Bengals. He is taking a leave of absence from acting, so that's really fun. And but yeah, overall, mostly because of that first pick, I give the Bengals a B.
I agree. Just because in my mind, and I am on the same page with Sam. I understand the argument and I like it, but to me, it doesn't matter what receiver he has out there if he can't stand up. And Sewell is like organization changing. Like, he's not just an offensive tackle. Like, he's someone that comes in and changes things. Like, he's that good. So in my mind, that's the only reason they get a B, because I think they did great all the rest of the way down. They're still definitely going to be in that rebuilding period. Like, they're not going to come out and be great this season. And I think they knew that. This draft isn't going to solve all their problems, but they did very well. But I do think they missed the mark with not taking Sewell. It upsets me.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I like the Jamar Chase pick. He scored 20 touchdowns the last year that him and Joe Burrow played together, all thrown to him by Joe Burrow. There's the familiarity there. I mentioned earlier, Jonah Williams and Riley Reif already at tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals. If they're going to go anywhere on their offensive line, they needed more of a guard than a tackle at Sewell here. And then you get a guy like Jackson Carman in the second round, somebody that's blocked for Trevor Lawrence, somebody that played at a high level at Clemson. He's not the talent that Penei Sewell is, and that everybody's talking about. Penei Sewell is this generational guy. Carmen's not the same. I'm not saying that, but I just, for Cincinnati, you get a contested pass catcher on the outside that they have not had in a while, and a guy that replaced AJ Green. Think about it this way: you have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase as your two receivers, and then you add in Tyler Boyd in the slot, one of the most underrated guys there. I think Cincinnati needs to focus more on their defense rather than offense. That might be a hot take. But yeah, I mean, protecting your franchise quarterback and Joe Burrow is going to be the priority, but I think it's being a little bit overblown. I don't think it's as serious as people are talking about. I think it'll be okay this year. Obviously, I mean, I don't know shit, so we'll see, but I like the pick. I gave them a B+ in the draft. So we'll move on to the next team. We have the Cleveland Browns, the Brownies. So round 1, they take Greg Newsome out of Northwestern. They get a steal, in my opinion, at 52 with Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah out of Notre Dame, Anthony Schwartz out of Auburn in round 3. Round 4, they take James Hunted out of Cincinnati, Tommy Togiai out of Ohio State, Tony Fields, the second, out of West Virginia, Richard LeCount, a safety out of Georgia, and then Demetric Felton, a running back out of UCLA in round 6. Sam, what is your grade for the Cleveland Browns?
The Browns got an A- for me. JOK going for them that low. Obviously, we know today that it is because of heart issues, which the doctor cleared him for. Like they said, like, hey, everything is fine, but of course it's something to be a little wary about. But him going there, awesome for them. I was surprised that they went corner in the first round, but I think they can make it work. And they got their offensive depth with their wide receivers, running backs, and they focused on the defense, which is what they needed to do in this draft. Basically, their offense doesn't need a lot of help. And I will, shout out Baker Mayfield, always, forever in my heart. But yeah, offensive depth is always really helpful, which is that they got that in Anthony Schwartz and what is it, Demetric Felton? Is that how you say his name, Demetric,
I think.
Either way, the running back.
Yeah, the running back.
But yeah, so Cleveland gets an A- for me, mostly because of that JOK steal in the second round. Like, that really is pretty solid for them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And Sam, me and you share a collective brain cell and agree on nearly everything. The one thing we differ on is Baker Mayfield. I'm not sold, not the number one fan, but I am getting more and more behind this Browns team. The Jadeveon Clowney move, I think, was brilliant. And like you said, they really needed to build up this defense. And they did exactly that. I'm giving them a solid A. I think they did great. JOK, onside checks we posted today, our biggest steals overall of this draft. And mine was getting JOK at 52 because that is someone I wanted the Eagles to take with, I think we had 37. Like, we were like 5 picks into the second round. So for him to fall that low is incredible. I think it's somebody that they're definitely going to get very good use out of. And like you said, they already have a lot of offensive weapons on this team. And now it just seems like you can't stop this defense. So there's no reason for the Browns to not come out and be incredible right now. I think they nailed it.
Yeah, I give them an A. I think Greg Newsome is a great pick. I had him as my number 2 overall corner going into the draft, but I mean, incredible value here at number 26. So he's facing 34 targets through his first 4 games of last year. He only allowed 93 total yards and 5 first down while making 8 plays on the ball through the first 4 games of the season last year. He moves his feet incredibly well. He's quick, he's fast, he's athletic. He is going to be a day 1 starter for the Cleveland Browns on their defense. And then Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah, do you play him at linebacker? Do you move him back to safety? For the Irish last year, he was a slot cornerback. He was really well, did really well for them last year. And then I guess the thing was the heart problem for these teams is why he slid down. But I mean, also another thing to bring up, he's only 200 pounds as a linebacker. That's not huge for the NFL. I didn't love the Anthony Schwartz pick. out of Auburn. I mean, what are you gonna do? But then Tommy Togiai out of Ohio State, I think, was a steal for them in round 4. He was a day 2 guy that goes in round 3, and then Richard LeCount, another guy out of Georgia, I think at safety to watch out for. So I gave them an A. We're gonna move on to the Dallas Cowboys. They get Micah Parsons at number 12 out of Penn State, Kelvin Joseph, a cornerback out of Kentucky, Osa Odigizua, I again said that wrong for sure, out of UCLA, Chauncey Golston out of Iowa, Nashawn Wright out of Oregon State, a cornerback, Jabril Cox out of LSU, Josh Ball out of Marshall, Simi Fehoko out of Stanford, Quentin Bohanna out of Kentucky, and then Israel Mukamu out of South Carolina, and Matt Farinoak out of Nebraska. Jordy, what was your grade for the Cowboys, your beloved Cowboys?
As I'm always wearing my Eagle proud on my shoulder. I do give them a B. I think they did solid. They finally listened and they finally built up this defense, which is exactly what they had from an unbiased perspective, exactly what they had to do. Me and Sam talked about it in our mock draft when we did it together. We were like, if they go offense here, like that's great for us because we'll just laugh at you. But like it would have been idiotic for them to go offense in the first three rounds. So yeah, I give them a B. They hit what they needed to hit. Getting Micah Parsons, like I said earlier on, worked out perfectly for them because that's who I think they would have taken at 10 no matter what. And then trading back and then just getting that extra 3rd round, even though you're still getting the guy you would have taken anyway. Best case scenario for them. So they finally started listening, finally started working on this defense. So solid B for the Cowboys.
Sam, what do you think?
I gave them a B+. I feel like Micah Parsons like belongs in Dallas. I don't know why. I just get the feeling like he's gonna really thrive in the Dallas organization. But I mean, like Jordan said, they worked on their defense. It was exactly what they needed to do. I think only 2 picks were offensive picks. And with Surtain off the board after the Broncos picked him at 9, this made a lot of sense for them to go with Parsons. And now that Sean Lee is also retired, with Jabril Cox coming in, I believe that they're thinking of having him fill Sean Lee's spot. So I'm giving them a B+.
B+ for the Cowboys from Sam. Jesus Christ, that was embarrassing. From Sam. So I give them a B as well. I love the Parsons pick, and then they get their need at cornerback with Kelvin Joseph in the 2nd round. Nashawn Wright, shout out Last Chance U. He was on Last Chance U, and that was cool to see
awesome.
his name popped up there. And then Simi Fehoko in the 5th round out of Stanford. I'd be curious to see how he fits in this offense in Dallas. But I think, a B is what I gave them. So let's move on to the Denver Broncos. They take Patrick Surtain with the 9th overall pick. Javonte Williams, the guy out of North Carolina, I really enjoyed watching this year. Quinn Meinerz out of Wisconsin Whitewater, the offensive lineman that made a lot of headlines at the Senior Bowl. Baron Browning out of Ohio State. Caden Stearns from Texas, Jamar Johnson from Indiana, Seth Williams from Auburn, Gary Vincent Jr. from LSU, Jonathan Cooper from Ohio State, and Marquise Spencer from Mississippi State. So, Jordy, I'll go back to you here. The Denver Broncos, what's your grade for them?
I give them a B+. I don't love we talked about it already. I know that. I don't love the cornerback pick at number 1 for them. I think I would have, I don't know. It just completely rubs me the wrong way. Williams in the 2nd round, I love. I think that's fantastic. Who else? There was another one. Safety Jamar Johnson from Indiana. I really like that pick. I read a lot about him. I think this is going to be a steal for them. Like, I think he's going to be one of those guys that will kind of step up to the plate and be absolutely fantastic. So I don't think they did anything necessarily wrong. I just don't think they made some of the right moves. And they did get some really good pieces here and there. So yeah, give them B+.
Yeah, I gave him a B, mostly because I was really expecting that quarterback. And like I was saying earlier, Drew Lock may or may not be sitting around in the Denver Broncos facility soon with Teddy Bridgewater there. So I thought that the quarterback thing would really happen. It didn't. Patrick Surtain is an amazing corner. Do they need him? I don't really know. To be honest, I feel like the Broncos are one of those teams where I feel like I forget about them sometimes.
For sure.
And they just pop up. I'm like, oh, Right, you guys are a thing too.
Yeah, you would say
But I think Javonte Williams is the best pick here for the Broncos. Backing
I
up
agree.
Melvin Gordon is going to be, switching the two of them out is going to be really awesome. So I think that that was probably the better pick out of like the first few. But yeah, so B for Broncos.
B for the Broncos. I have them at B plus. The Javonte Williams pick is what does it for me here, guys. He was the number one PFF rated running back in this draft, actually over Najee Harris and Travis Etienne, if you believe that. But he broke 76 tackles last season at North Carolina. He's a tackle breaking machine. And then you get Quinn Meinerz in the third round. I love these D3 guys that come out of nowhere in these drafts. It seems like every year. And then, of course, Patrick Surtain. He just fits the mold of the classic Vic Fangio shutdown cornerback. So I'm not surprised that they went there at all. So yeah, B plus for the Denver Broncos. We move on to the Detroit Lions, a team that a lot of people thought knocked it out of the park. Penei Sewell falls to them at 7. They get Levi Onwuzurike out of Washington at 41 in the second round. Aleem McNeil out of NC State in round 3. Ifeatu Melifonwu out of Syracuse. Definitely said that wrong. Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC. He's actually Equinemius St. Brown's younger brother. I love that pick there. They get Derek Barnes out of Purdue, and then Jermar Jefferson, a running back out of Oregon State. Sam, what is your grade for the Lions?
So the Lions for me got an A-, mostly because they were able to pick up Sewell. Like I think that they played that really well. And biggest steal after the Bengals didn't take him, like the fact that he started to drop a little bit, like the Lions were like, nope, and just snatched him up real quick before he could drop even lower. I just want to shout out, I don't know how to say his name either, Andy. Ifeatu Melifonwu.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely wrong saying it, but yeah.
I just love Syracuse. I think that they are a great football team, and being from New York, I almost went to Syracuse for college. I missed the application deadline though, so that didn't happen because I was a dumb 18-year-old. And so I was really excited to see someone from Syracuse come off the board in the NFL draft. But yeah, A- mostly for that Sewell pick.
I agree.
Love it.
100%.
Love it. Sorry, I was sending a text message back to our guy, Tom Scavetta. But yes, I agree there. I'm going to give them an A. Or what did you say? Did you say A-?
I said A-.
Okay, I'm going to give him that too. I agree. A-. I love the Sewell pick. I think he fits a need that they need really well here. I'm going to talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown, though. He's a guy that I think can make an impact on this offense with Jared Goff here immediately. They get him in the 4th round. He's a guy that, they can really put anywhere. He's shorter on the smaller side. He's probably better in the slot, but he offers a lot of value after the catch, and he runs his routes really well. So next we'll go to the Green Bay Packers, a team that I don't really want to talk about where we have to do it. So Eric Stokes, cornerback out of Georgia in round 1. They take Josh Myers, a center out of Ohio State. They get their second A. Rodgers and Amari Rodgers out of Clemson in the 3rd round. Royce Newman out of Ole Miss to Darryl Slayton out of Florida. Shamar Jean Charles out of App State, Cole Van Lanen out of Wisconsin, Isaiah McDuffie from Boston College, and then Kylan Hill from Mississippi State in round 7. Sam, what's your grade for the Green Bay Packers?
I gave them a B+. Mostly, I was just not okay with them taking Eric Stokes in that 1st round. Not only because I think they should have taken a receiver, but also because I think Eric Stokes was not the best corner available. I think there was definitely a lot of other people that were there that they could have taken and didn't. I am kind of stoked that they took a center though, because I had them in my mock team.
There.
What?
You were talking about Stokes, and then you said you're stoked, and I said, was there a pun intended?
Honestly, I think I'm a poet and I don't even know it. I've been throwing these rhymes out here left and right. But yeah, so I actually had them taking Creed Humphreys in my mock draft. Obviously, they didn't take him, but they did end up taking a center, which my argument was that they needed to back up David Bakhtiari there and with his injury concerns now. And yeah, another Amari Rodgers. It's going to be a Rodgers to Rodgers thing if he does stick around in Green Bay, which we don't know if he will or not. But yeah, I'm giving them a B mostly because I think they just said a big old F you to Aaron Rodgers in the first round.
This is my first C of our gradings.
Oh.
I really don't love this at all. I think it's disrespectful as fuck. And like there's really not that much I can really say about it. I get it. All right. So the one good thing they got is at least they know that A Rodgers will be on their team, but I think that's the only good thing about it. They ended up hitting bases that they should have hit later on. So that's the only reason why they didn't completely fail this, but they definitely didn't do well. And I definitely sat there and went, what the hell is going on? Like I was pissed. So yeah, C.
I love their draft because I gave them a C because I didn't think it was great. I mean, my buddy Lucas said earlier they needed a cornerback. They went out and got one in Eric Stokes, one of the fastest players in the draft, no matter what the position is. But he was projected as a third-round talent by PFF. And just to take him at the end of the first round, I didn't understand it at all, guys. You have to go after a receiver there, in my opinion. Get another weapon for Aaron Rodgers. And then Josh Myers out of Ohio State, I really do like that pick. I think Amari Rodgers can be a solid player in this league, but it's funny that that's when they go receiver. And then, of course, it's fucking A Rodgers. So, yeah, I gave them a C. Let's move on to the Houston Texans. So their first pick wasn't until the third round. They take Davis Mills out of Stanford, almost confirming that Deshaun Watson's time is probably up in Houston. They take receiver Nico Collins out of Michigan. A pick I really liked here is tight end Brevin Jordan out of Miami. He was my number 2 tight end going into this draft. Then they take Garrett Wallow out of TCU and Roy Lopez out of Arizona. So, Sam, what was your grade for the Texans?
So the Texans are my first C. Honestly, with the fact that you had your first pick in the draft at 67 and you took a quarterback I was so surprised by this. Not because of the Deshaun Watson thing, but because you literally have Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Finley on your team already. Mm-hmm. At this point in the draft, I don't think that you need to draft a quarterback right now. Davis Mills was probably the best lower quarterback, however. I know Jordyn had him as one of her sleepers. So, but I really think I'm like, really the first pick that you have in the draft, you took a quarterback. That's like so. Anyway, I just want Tyrod Taylor to start and finish a season for once in his life and not get taken over by a rookie. So I'm rooting for Tyrod Taylor in this one. Really thought that they would use that 67 pick to replace J.J. Watt in some way or another. And they didn't do that. So I'm giving them I'm going to give them a C plus. Is what I have written down. But yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of the Texans draft.
Yeah, I gave them a solid C. Kind of the same thing. Davis Mills, as Sam said, he was one of my sleepers. I really like him. I honestly wanted to see him go to Tampa Bay. I saw some mock drafts that had the Buccaneers taking him at 32, which I thought was ridiculous because he clearly fell and they could have taken him and they chose not to. So I do think this is a solid pick, but I just think that they completely cornered themselves here. And I think they're panicking with everything going on with Deshaun Watson right now. So it's kind of like you don't have your first pick until 67th. You get yourselves into this predicament and now you're kind of literally backs against the wall. It's kind of smart, especially with the uncertainty of what everything's going on there, but it sucks. It genuinely sucks. And then at that point, your real first overall pick isn't until round 3, 89th overall. So there isn't that much you can really do that's going to take you to the next level. They're in a really tough position, the Texans, and I don't feel bad for them because they put themselves here. But yeah, they got to stay for me.
Yeah, I have them at C-. Brevin Jordan's the only pick I like here. Davis Mills was talked about before the draft as the quarterback nobody's talking about. He's got all the physical tools, what have you. But round 3, it doesn't impress me. You get a guy like Nico Collins, who was super high recruit going into Michigan, but really did nothing in Ann Arbor. He was not good. He's big and physical, but like other than that, like pull up his stats, and I was not impressive to me. So he does do enough. Like he can get by a defensive back, but he's just not consistent. He's going to have to adjust the pro game. So C- for me. Let's move on to the Colts. They take Kwity Paye with the 21st pick in the first round. They go again to the edge with Dayo Odenigbo from Vanderbilt. In the second round, round 4, they take Kyle Granson from SMU, Sean Davis from Florida in round 5. The quarterback, Sam Ehlinger, in round 6 out of Texas. Round 6 out of Texas. Not Michael Strahan, Michael Strachan from the University of Indianapolis in round 7, and then Will Freeze from Penn State. Jordyn, what was your grade for the Colts?
I give them a B. I think me and Sam talked about this a lot. We really thought that they should go defense here, and that's exactly what they did early on. Big Kwity Paye fan. Love his story. A lot of my friends live up in Providence, Rhode Island, so this is like a hometown. Just a lot of love for him. His whole story is absolutely incredible. Everything he came from, his mom, like there's so much there. And then to take all of that and put into an excellent player. I think this was a steal for the Colts. His call was really cute. When they called him, they were like, we know you're going to put everything into this. Like, it was just so heartwarming. So that definitely moves them up to B for me.
I have them at an A-. I didn't think it was a good idea to double up at the edge, but big Kwity Paye fan, really stoked that he went there. I really, really just like him. They needed an improved pass rush, and that's what Kwity Paye is going to do for them. And honestly, taking a quarterback, he was the last quarterback taken in this draft, old Sammy here. And he's going to sit there. He's going to back up Carson Wentz, and he's going to do his thing, you know. Obviously not going to start. That would be preposterous. But yeah, so I give him an A-.
I actually have them at a B-. I didn't love what they did. I like the Kwity Paye pick. I don't understand the Odenigbo pick. Sam Ehlinger has me kind of intrigued. What are they really going to do with him? But yeah, I talked to my buddy who's a Colts fan. He was not happy. He said he understands the Kwity Paye pick, but didn't know what Chris Ballard, the GM, was really doing there. So I'm going to give them a B-. Let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, team we talked a little bit about earlier. They take Trevor Lawrence. They take his teammate Travis Etienne in the first round. Tyson Campbell from Georgia in round 2. Walker Little from Stanford. Andre Sisco from Syracuse in round 3. Jay Tufule from USC. Jordan Smith from UAB. Luke Farrell from Ohio State. Jalen Camp from Georgia Tech in round 6. Jordyn, what was your grade for the Jaguars?
The Jags right now are teetering very closely between a B+ and an A- for me. I think they did very well. I think the only thing keeping them from being at that A- spot is the Travis Etienne pick. I understand why they did it. This was a draft for friendship thing, but they have James Robinson. I think I would have went running back in a later round and focused on something else here. I completely understand why they did it, but that Andre Sisco pick, safety from Syracuse, in the third round, I think is a steal. I think he was going to be great for them. I'm super excited to see it. They kind of had it easy with Trevor Lawrence, so everything else after that is kind of just falling into place. But yeah, B+ A-, right on that range.
I gave him the A-. I gave him the A-. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. It's, I'm really excited to see how this pans out because I think it's going to be good, but it'll be kind of interesting if it doesn't. But brand new team, brand new offense, brand new coach. That's what Jacksonville is dealing with right now. They got the tight end, they got the wide receiver, and running back and a quarterback. So they're finishing up that offensive slate, new guys. Like I said, new coach. It's a brand new world down there in Florida, or one part of Florida at least.
Yeah. One part of Florida. Florida's probably been about the same throughout this pandemic. Take that as you will. But yeah, I love the Walker Little pick. I thought they got a lot really good value with where they got him at. And then I think the Etienne and Lawrence dynamic is just going to be very, very interesting for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I have them at a B. So I think we're about halfway. I know we've been going for like 2 hours. So I'm going to leave this up to you guys. If you want to keep going, we can. If we need to shut it off, you guys need somewhere to be, we can.
Why don't we start like filtering through and doing like a speed round almost?
Speed round. All right. Let's do that. Okay,
How's
I'm going
that
to do
feel?
speed round for each of them. Okay.
All right.
Instant reaction. Kansas City Chiefs.
A-. I love the Creed Humphrey pick.
I give them a B+.
Love it. Next, Las Vegas Raiders.
C.
B+.
What'd you say, Jordyn?
I said C. I don't like it.
Okay.
I like that
Okay.
they traded up for the safety Morig.
Okay.
He's pretty
I think
good.
that was great value that they got Morrig in the second round. The Leatherwood pick was questionable. I do think he was very good. They also got a guy named Divine Diablo.
Yes.
Diablo has to play for the Raiders. That's awesome. And then I'm definitely going to give a shout out to my guy, Nate Hobbs, cornerback from Illinois. They got him in the 5th round. Underdog. Congratulations to you, sir. ILL-INI. Let's fucking go Raiders. So the next team we're going to go to is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers.
A.
I gave him an A. Love Rashawn Slater. Love Asante Samuel. Rashawn Slater can work on his size.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love everything about what they did.
Los Angeles Rams.
A-. I like that they literally got a depth chart of all of this offense, with all of these wide receivers, running backs, and some help from Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I agree. I gave them a B+. I didn't go the full A-, but I do like what they did.
Miami Dolphins.
A.
Hey.
This team is brilliant.
People for Tua to throw to is always a plus.
Okay, I like that a lot. Going Jalen Waddle, I thought was pretty interesting there. But
Drafting for friendship.
He drafting for friendship, as we've said, it's come up in this show. It's very interesting though. I thought just with his size, I didn't have him as the number 1 receiver. I had him as my number 3 receiver, if I'm being honest with you guys. And then they get a guy like Javon Holland in the 2nd round. I thought that was great. Jalen Phillips going as the number 1 edge rusher was interesting. For me, I'm going to give them a B. But we'll move on to the Minnesota Vikings. Jordy, what do you think?
I gave him a B. I really like the Christian Darrisaw pick. I love him. And then taking a quarterback in the 3rd round with their 2nd pick. Interesting. I like it, especially because Kirk Cousins didn't look like Kirk Cousins. I know they paid him, but I do think it was a good move. So I'm going to give him a B+.
I also gave him a B+. I gave him a B+. Darrisaw pick was really great. The Kellen Mond pick, I was like, oh, okay. So I think that's going to start a little something in terms of the QB competition. But B+, they did a solid job jumping back and forth between offense and defensive needs.
Yeah, I think the Darrisaw pick was great. Speaking of the quarterback, did you see they thought they were about to get Justin Fields? They legit thought Fields was
they
gonna
wanted
fall to
him.
them.
Yeah.
And then they take Mon. So love that. My buddy Alex Menard actually texted me today. He goes, "Did you see this shit?" And I go, "Yeah." I just laughed when I saw it because the Bears have Justin Fields. Oh my God, we get to be excited about our quarterback. Next, we are going to go to. We're wrapping it up here real quick. The New England Patriots. To get Mac Jones in the 1st round. Christian Barmore from Alabama falls to them. Ronnie Perkins fell to them too. I give these guys an A. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, their free agency spending and their draft, they get an A from me. And I hate to say it, but they have literally rebuilt a gorgeous team. So congrats to them, unfortunately.
I gave him an A-. I think it's just because I'm slowly starting to dislike Mac Jones. I also just want to I think the safety that they drafted, last name is Bledsoe, and I was like, what are the odds that the Patriots draft another Bledsoe? So I thought that was pretty funny.
Absolutely. Let's go to the New Orleans Saints. We mentioned earlier they take Peyton Turner in the 1st round. Really confusing. I didn't love the Pete Weber pick, to be honest with you, in the 2nd round. The Ian Book pick to me is very interesting. I gave them a C+.
Yeah, I'm right in that range too. Ian Book, I think, is great, but I just don't think they needed it. I think, and they are literally down to skin and bones for them to get under salary cap. So they needed a lot. And I just don't think it was the time for them to take a quarterback because I think they're in a good position to at least test out if Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston can be someone that carries them through a little bit. But we'll see. Hopefully it works out. I like this organization, so I want them to do well, but I just don't think they drafted as good as they could have.
Yeah, agreed. I teetered between a B- and a C. The Ian Book pick is probably the most interesting thing to come out of this draft for them. Wasn't a fan of their 28th pick with Peyton Turner.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about it earlier. You're just going, who the fuck is Peyton Turner?
Who dat?
On the left. Who
dat?
Perfect, Sam. Oh, god damn, that was perfect. All right, we're going to move on to the Jets, and I'm going to give the Jets an A, if you believe it or not. I think their first 4 picks were terrific. Zach Wilson, Elijah Vera-Tucker, Elijah Moore falls to them in the second round. They get Michael Carter, running back out of North Carolina, in the 4th round. I give the Jets an A.
I do as well. Yeah, no, they hit all the bases here, and they got very good guys all the way around. So I think we can expect the rebuild for the Jets to be quicker than I think we all kind of initially thought.
Yeah, agreed on all things, and big trade up for Elijah Vera-Tucker there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're going to move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get Harris in the 1st round, the first running back off the board, and then Freiermuth from Penn State in the 2nd, and my guy, Kendrick Green from Illinois, the center, in round 3. If you haven't yet, go look up the video. His little sister is in the background right behind him, and they're literally making the same face. They're both going, "Let's go!"
It's so cute.
And Run DMC announced the pick. Like, that was incredible. Where his little rhyme and rap he had about being a Pittsburgh Steeler was actually really dope. But I love the Steelers, what they did here. I actually give them a B. I'm going to give them a B, mostly because I love Kendrick Green and what he brings to the center position. He really fits the need perfectly for them. But also Najee Harris. They just lose James Conner, and Harris is a big back. He reminds me of Derrick Henry a little bit. I think he's going to be really good at this level.
Yeah, I agree. I'd give him a solid B. The Najee Harris pick, Sam can tell you, she'll go on. Her brother, didn't you say he's been talking about this since like November?
He's been talking about it for so long.
But yeah, so I think that was the fact that he fell to them and they were smart enough to take him. That was their number one need. Their run game last year, even with James Conner, was slacking. And now without him, I think they definitely had to fill that. So definitely a B, solid B for them.
I gave him an A-, mostly because I just don't want my brother to yell at me. But Najee Harris was probably one of the best picks in the 1st round. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with their tight end, Pat Freiermuth. I think that's going to be interesting. And I know that Andy loves Kendrick Green coming out of Illinois. So yeah, I also just read a quick thing about Najee Harris resembling Le'Veon Bell, which I hope that's only the way that he plays and not what kind of person he is.
Okay. Love that one.
Taking shots now. We went from a glass of wine to.
She's not even drinking, Jordyn.
I know.
So,
I'm not. This is just water.
2+ hours in, Sam just gets real. Okay, we only have a few teams left. I'm trying to keep this as quick as possible. San Francisco 49ers, they take Lance in the 1st round. I guess I don't want to say shocked because they kind of shocked some people, but they just did a good job keeping it quiet. Or pick I really like for them was Diamore Lenore out of Oregon in the 5th round, a cornerback. I think he can do good things. And then Trey Sermon in the 3rd round. He did awesome. They broke a record in the Big Ten championship game, had a really awesome end of the season. I gave the Niners a B-.
I gave him a B+.
Yeah, just for taking Trey Lance over Matt Jones. Yep.
And I do like the Trey Sermon pick with their running backs. I think that's going to add a lot of depth. But the only thing about Trey Lance is I'm still a little shaky on him with his limited resume, but I'm glad that he went 3rd overall instead of Mac Jones.
Yeah.
I agree.
Me too. I definitely like that.
Too, if they're shaky on Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, he hasn't played as much, but I think if you sit him behind Jimmy G and you kind of train him and give him that experience a little bit, he is someone that I think will be better long term. So I love the move.
Absolutely. So for the Seattle Seahawks, they're the next team. They only had 3 picks in the draft. I think the least picks out of any team. Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan, Trey Brown out of Oklahoma, and then Stone Forsythe, the offensive tackle out of Florida. That's a great name. So the grade you guys give for the Seahawks. So they took Eskridge after the Cardinals took Rondell Morris. It was kind of like a run there where the everybody in the West, like they all took a receiver in the second round, I think. So what's your grade for the Seahawks? Sam, we'll start with you.
I gave them a B-, mostly because of the fact that they only had 3 picks, and I don't know if those picks that they gave up for Jamal Adams is working for them yet. So that's my reasoning.
I gave them a C. I didn't really like it. I think they should have went offensive tackle or O-line with their first couple picks. Wide receiver, like you have weapons. Like you're kind of set there. I can understand if maybe you wanted more depth later on, but when you only have 3 picks and you know your O-line is like in that sketchy of a position, I think you should have focused on that a little more. But hey, I'll give them a C.
But hey, yeah, I have them the same as a C. I didn't understand the Eskridge pick, if I'm being honest with you. I thought that was more of like a reaction to what the other teams in their division were doing. I do think they should have addressed offensive line a little earlier than they did in the draft. But I'll be curious to see who their like undrafted free agent signings are and what that offensive line really does look like for them. So we're going to move to the champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Took Joe Tryon out of Washington in the first round. Didn't understand that. And they had Mr. Irrelevant, Grant Stewart, out of Houston, a linebacker, the very last pick of the draft. And then Kyle Trask, they got him in round 2. That's going to be interesting. I love this for Trask. He's going to learn behind Tom Brady for a few years. God, who knows how many years at this point. But he really does, I think, fit Bruce Arians' offense. So, Jordyn, I'll start with you. Your grade for the Bucs.
The Bucs are the team that has everything. So, like, I think Sam used this line for someone else. If they didn't have any picks, I think we were talking about the Buffalo Bills. If they didn't have any picks, they would have been totally fine. All 22 of their Super Bowl starters returned. So they're sitting in a great position. Their actual draft picks, though, I'm giving a B-. I think they hit, like, I'm glad they went defense with their first pick. I wouldn't have wanted them to do anything else. I don't love Kyle Trask. I like them going quarterback. Like I said, I would have liked to see them go Davis Mills. I think I just would have preferred to see him. I think they would have been better off there. Hopefully, I'm a big Florida fan, huge Florida Gators fan. So, like, if Kyle Trask can come out, his arm makes me a little bit nervous. Yeah.
Go Gators.
So we'll see, but I'm giving them a B-, which is fine. Okay. They could have failed this entirely, and they still probably could easily go to the Super Bowl. So it's fine.
I gave them an A-. I'm glad that they worked on their defense because while their defense is fantastic and they all are coming back, they are aging. With Ndamukong Suh, JPP, having Joe Tryon come in, it just kind of makes their defense a little bit younger, kind of gives them a little bit longevity. Kyle Trask kind of blew my mind when that happened, but what are you going to do? Yeah, but I give them an A-.
All right. I gave them a B+. I like the Trask pick. I know me and Jordy are going to be a little different on this, but I just thought that was interesting to see where he would go and see it in the second round. Didn't understand the Joe Tryon pick at all, but I do want to think about this. The Bucs are returning all 22 of their starters from their Super Bowl championship last year. That's both sides of the ball. Same people are going to be playing this year. So it doesn't really look like these rookies they drafted are going to be getting quality minutes. Of course, I'm saying that 4 months before the year starts. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. But at this point, it looks like they are pretty much set on each side of the ball. So last 2 teams, rapid fire. Again, I thank you guys. Sorry this went so long. Tennessee Titans. Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. They took him, another opt-out. Questions about his health. Dylan Reduns from North Dakota State were their top 2 picks. So, Sam, I'll start with you. What did you like about the Tennessee Titans? What was your grade for them?
I gave him a B+. Caleb Farley is good, but he does have some injury concerns. Otherwise, I think the Titans fall in the same category as the Broncos, where I kind of forget about them sometimes.
Yes, for sure.
I'll give them an A just because the guys' names that they draft, like, listen to some of these names. You have Dez Fitzpatrick, their last pick, round 6, 215 overall. Brady Breeze.
I love that you said that.
Brady Breeze.
Like, are we kidding? Like that, they get an A plus for that. Like, that is incredible. Shout out to that person's parents too, because you just knew he was going to come into the NFL. What's another one? Racy McMath. Like, these names are just Monty Rice. Like,
they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they do. But the Titans are a team that, like, every week, I honestly have a tendency of betting against them too. And they're one of those teams, like, I bet against them and I lose because, like, I forget.
They are very good.
They are for, like, no reason. Like, and I don't, like, I can't accept that they're good. I don't know why they're one of those teams for me, but whatever. I think they drafted well.
I give them an A as well. I like what they did. And then, God, you just brought up the names. You just took the words right out of my mouth. Farley, Reduns, Monty Rice, Elijah Molden, Des Fitzpatrick, Rashad Weaver, Racy McMath, and then Brady Breeze. When I saw his name, I was going to bring up that he had a great name, Brady Breeze. But yeah, be curious to see what Vrabel does, like, with these defensive guys he drafted and how they kind of fit their system. They did lose Corey Davis this year as far as the receiver goes. Does Fitzpatrick fill that role? I'll be very curious about that. So this is the last team that we're going to do, the Washington football team. Jamin Davis was their first pick at number 19. They take Samuel Cosmi in the second round. Sam, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about the Washington football team? What did they do this draft weekend?
I gave them a B+. I'm really excited that they went defense in their first pick because whoever they picked with Chase Young is going to be crazy. Jamin Davis, solid pick for them. And then they also needed help with their offensive tackle, which they got in Cosmi at 51, which is a solid pick. And they get some more playmakers for their receivers in Diami Brown. So I think that overall they did fairly well in that, and that gets a B+ for me.
Yeah, no, I honestly gave them an A, teetering with an A-, but I'll stick with the A. This is a team that I'm scared of in the NFC East, and they just drafted very well. Tight end John Bates from Boise State is one of my guys to keep our eyes on. I really, really like him, and they got him at 124th overall. So I think that will be a steal for them. And this team was already a team that was – like, they showed us last season that they were solid with what they had, and they're just kind of continuing to build and take that to the next level. They had so many picks, and they literally hit, like, everything. So I really can't give them any more kudos.
Yeah. I mean, they had a need at linebacker. They go get that in Jamin Davis. And then the Washington football team defense is like the Atlanta Falcons offense, where it's all first-round picks. It's just like name as many first-round picks as you can think of. They play for the fucking Washington football team defense. If we're talking about great names, they took a long snapper in round 6, Cameron Cheeseman out of Michigan. How the fuck did he not go to the Packers? That is what I want to know.
Cheeseman.
That is literally this dude's name. 2 long snappers taken in this draft. Okay, guys, this has been so long, way longer than I thought it was. But I thank you so much for being patient with me. Thank you so much for doing this with me. The grades for each team, the Eagles, the Giants. I just knocked down my water bottle. I hope that doesn't spill everywhere. But quickly, Jordyn, you go first. Anything you want to plug, your YouTube, your podcast, your Twitter, your Instagram, tell us all about it. Plug it real quick.
All right. Let me take a deep breath here. All right. So my YouTube is SportyJordy. I post weekly videos. You can find me on social media for that, on Instagram at @_SportyJordy. I'm on Twitter for that at @TheSportyJordy. My podcast that I co-host is called Onside Chicks. We stream live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube and Twitch. You can find us on YouTube at Onside Chicks, on Instagram at Onside Chicks, and on Twitter at Onside Chicks Pod.
Sam, from the Girl Who Talks Sports podcast, Sam Cardona, it's your turn. Anything you'd like to plug? I know you got some stuff coming out this week. Tell us about your socials. Tell us about where to find the podcast, YouTube videos, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I feel like everybody knows me at this point on the Brew Party. But
yes, they should. They should know both of you.
The Girl Who Talks Sports. So the podcast comes out usually every Wednesday. However, this week, extra content video with SportyJordy will be up on Wednesday. New episode will be out this Friday, going over everything going on in the draft. I'm really excited about that. And I have some other live shows that I'm going to be doing this week. So make sure that you follow me on social media to keep up with all that at TGWTS Podcast, acronym for the Girl Who Talks Sports Podcast, on both Twitter, Instagram, and yeah, that's it.
Try to say TGWTS like 5 times fast and see how many times you fuck it up, because I will fuck it up Okay, Sam, never mind.
I've said it so many times.
You said it so many times. I don't think that counts. But anyway, so this has been like 2 hours and 20 minutes, episode 59 of the Brew Party podcast. We gave you our favorite picks, our favorite, like our best and worst dress, our superlatives, our least favorite picks, what we liked that we saw from draft parties, all of that good stuff. NFL draft reaction show. Ladies' night on the Brew Party podcast with SportyJordy, with Sam Cardona is come to an end. Find the video out now on our YouTube, youtube.com/The Brew Party, or on our Twitter at The Brew Party, or on our Facebook at The Brew Party Podcast. Please, please, please like, comment, rate, review, subscribe. Give us a rating. Give us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. We're trying to get up to 100 ratings on there. I got a special guest coming if we are able to get up to 100 reviews. So please help me out with that. Jordy, Sam, thank you so much for joining me. This was such a good time. I always have a great time when I'm talking about you guys. Seriously, look out. These two will be on a major network in the next 5 fucking years talking about football, talking about sports. They are next up. Laugh all you guys want. I believe it wholeheartedly. They are incredible. Support women in sports. I think that's very important. I'm super glad that I can call you guys friends, and I love what you guys are doing. Keep up all the incredible work. I appreciate you so much for all the analysis, all the awesome stuff you guys did on this podcast. And every time you appear on the podcast or anytime you guys have me on your stuff. So episode 59 of the Brew Party has come to an end 2 hours and 20 minutes later, but check out the video out now, like I said, and the audio will be out whenever it gets out. I'm not even going to say a time because it's just whenever I decide it will be out tomorrow at some point. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Brew Party podcast. I'm Andy Hopper. We're here. We're queer. We've opened our 7th beer at this point. So
rhymed. You just rhymed.
Yeah. I actually rhymed like Sam was unable to do earlier in the show. So we're out of here. I'm sorry. Shots fired at the end. Unnecessary shots, just like the unnecessary shots.
Getting feisty 2 hours.
Unnecessary shots that ESPN made at Mitchell Trubisky. I said it on the draft show, but that was uncalled for. Sam, you know what I'm talking about. All right, we're actually out of here. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been the Brew Party podcast.